We live in an era obsessed with the complex. We search for the secret formula, the hidden algorithm, the revolutionary diet, or the magical investment that will take us from where we are to where we want to go. We believe that success is an encrypted code, accessible only to a few geniuses or lucky individuals. But I will tell you a truth that may hurt, but that will liberate you. Failure is not a catastrophic event. You don't wake up one day and find your life is a disaster. Failure is simply a few errors in judgment, repeated every single day. And likewise, success is not magic. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every single day. This audiobook is inspired by the timeless wisdom of Jim Rohn, the mentor of masters. His message was radical because it was simple. He taught us that life is not transformed by impossible quantum leaps, but by doing the ordinary things extraordinarily well. You have been searching for the master key in distant places, when the key has always been in your pocket. It is called discipline. It is called personal philosophy. It is called simple action. If you are tired of searching for shortcuts that lead nowhere, stop. You are about to receive the code of simplicity. I am not going to teach you anything new. I am going to remind you of what is true. I am going to teach you how to adjust the sail of your ship so that, no matter which way the wind blows, you always arrive at your destination. Chapter 1. Adjusting the Sail. It's not the wind, it's the navigator. Let's begin by solving the greatest mystery of human life. Why in the same country, under the same government, with the same economy and opportunities, does one person become rich and happy while another remains poor and bitter? Why can two men start at the same company on the same day, and 10 years later, one is the director and the other is still in the same position, complaining about the salary? The conventional answer is luck, fate, or circumstances. But the philosophy of success tells us something very different, and it is a hard truth to swallow. The difference is not in what happens to them. The difference is in what they do with what happens to them. The great Jim Rohn left us a metaphor that explains human destiny with absolute precision. The same wind blows on us all. The wind of the economy, the wind of politics, the wind of illness, the wind of tragedy, and the wind of opportunity. The wind blows on the rich and on the poor. It blows on the wise and on the foolish. The universe does not discriminate. It doesn't send you a special wind to ruin you. The wind is neutral. If the wind is the same for everyone, what determines your destiny? The answer is the adjustment of the sail. Most people spend their lives waiting for the wind to change. They say, I'll be happy when the economy improves. I'll succeed when my boss changes. I would be better off if the government were different. They are waiting for the world to adjust to their needs. That is a guaranteed recipe for disaster. The wind is not going to change for you. The seasons are not going to stop because you are not prepared. If your ship is heading towards the rocks, it is not the wind's fault. The same wind that is pushing you towards the rocks is being used by another person right next to you to sail toward fortune. It is not the direction of the wind, it is the direction of your sail. And your sail is your personal philosophy. What is the sail? It is your beliefs, your habits, your attitude, and your discipline. What you think about money adjusts your financial sail. What you think about work adjusts your professional sail. What you think about yourself adjusts the sail of your destiny. If your philosophy is spend everything you earn and hope the government takes care of you, you have set your sail toward poverty. No matter how much money you earn, the wind, if your sail is set incorrectly, you will end up in ruin. If your philosophy is save, invest, and educate yourself, you have set your sail toward wealth. Even if the wind of the economy blows against you, you will use that force to zigzag toward your goal. The biggest mistake you can make is believing that life is what happens to you. Life is not what happens to you. Life is how you respond to what happens to you. The event is neutral. The response is everything. Here we arrive at the heart of the teaching. Weak people wish there was no wind, or that the wind was always gentle and favorable. They wish for fewer problems. They wish for fewer challenges. But Jim Rohn taught us a different prayer. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Don't ask for fewer problems, ask for more skills. Don't ask for fewer challenges, ask for more wisdom. If you only wish for things to be easy, you are declaring yourself weak. You are saying that your success depends on the absence of difficulties. But if you ask to be better, you are assuming control. When you become stronger, wiser, and more disciplined, the size of the wind ceases to matter. You can navigate storms that would sink others simply because you know how to handle the rudder and adjust the sail. Life is not about waiting for the calm. It is about learning to navigate the storm with mastery. You cannot change the wind, but you can change the sail. The wind, the economy, the government, your past, the circumstances, blows on us all equally. The difference in destiny lies not in the weather, but in the orientation of your personal philosophy. But what does it really mean to adjust the sail? What does this look like on a Tuesday morning when you don't feel like getting up? What does it look like when you have to choose between buying a book and buying a pizza? To understand the mechanics of the adjustment, we must dismantle two gigantic myths that society has sold you. We must redefine what the words failure and success mean. Most people live terrified of a cataclysm that never arrives, while ignoring the slow poison they drink every day. Let's proceed to the autopsy of human destiny. 1. The true definition of failure, the silent accumulation. Ask anyone what failure is. They will tell you it's a financial bankruptcy, a scandalous divorce, a heart attack, or losing the house. They see failure as a seismic event, a sudden explosion that destroys a life. They are wrong. That is not failure. That is the end result of failure. Jim Rohn left us a much more dangerous and subtle definition. Failure is not an isolated cataclysmic event. You do not fail overnight. Failure is simply a few errors in judgment, repeated every day. Let's analyze this formula. It is the formula for negligence. Why is failure so dangerous? Because it is subtle. No alarm sounds when you make the mistake. The sky doesn't darken when you decide not to do what you know you should do. If you don't read those pages today of that book that would make you wiser, the world doesn't end. You don't lose your job today. You don't feel dumber today. Nothing seems to happen. If you eat that food full of fat and sugar today instead of a nutritious meal, you don't have a heart attack this afternoon. You don't gain 10 pounds in an hour. You feel good. The pleasure is immediate. If you spend more than you earn today, your house is not foreclosed on tomorrow. That is the trap. Because there is no immediate devastating consequence, the logical mind, the bad navigator, concludes, it doesn't matter. One day won't hurt. I'll start tomorrow. That thought, it doesn't matter today, is the hole in the hull of your ship. Failure is the mathematical accumulation of those small errors in judgment. It is the mistake of thinking you can afford not to be disciplined. Repeat that error of not reading, eating poorly, not saving, not listening day after day for 6 years. What do you have at the end of 6 years? You have the disaster. You have the illness. You have the bankruptcy. You have the loneliness. And then the person looks up at the sky and shouts, "Why me? What did I do to deserve this sudden misfortune?" It wasn't sudden. It was built brick by brick, mistake by mistake, day after day. It was the inevitable result of a poorly set sail that degree by degree took you far from the port and straight onto the rocks. The danger is not the strong wind. The danger is your inability to see that today's small mistake is the seed of tomorrow's disaster. Negligence is the silent infection of life. It begins as an attitude cold and ends as a destiny pneumonia. The true definition of success, the magic of the mundane. Now let's look at the other side of the coin. If failure is not an event, success is not either. Success is not winning the lottery. It's not a stroke of luck. It's not something that happens to you suddenly. Jim Rohn's formula for success is equally simple and profound. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Note the word simple. He doesn't say heroic disciplines. He doesn't say superhuman feats, and he says simple. Eating an apple is simple. Reading 10 pages of a good book is simple. Saving 10% of your income is simple, if you have the discipline. Taking a 30-minute walk is simple. Saying I love you is simple. The miracle is not in the action itself. The miracle is in the repetition and in the accumulation. Here the law of compound interest applied to life comes into play. Just as money multiplies exponentially over time, positive habits multiply. If you read about your profession 30 minutes a day, you are not an expert today. Not tomorrow either. But in 5 years, you will have read over 100 books in your field. You will be part of the top 1% of your industry. Your market value will skyrocket, not by magic, but by mathematics. If you take care of your health with small daily acts, in 10 years you will have a vitality that will seem like genetic luck in the eyes of the undisciplined. The difference between success and failure is so subtle that most people lose sight of it. Both the man who fails and the man who succeeds seem to be doing the same thing today. One eats the apple, the other eats the chocolate. At the end of the day, they both look the same. At the end of the week, they both look the same. But let time pass. Let the wind blow for 10 years. The gap between them will be an unbridgeable ocean. One will be at the summit of the mountain of fulfillment, and the other will be in the valley of regret. The adjustment of the sail is the conscious decision to practice those simple disciplines, even when immediate results are not visible. It is the capacity to trust the mathematics of the future more than the pleasure of the present. 3. The pain of discipline versus the pain of regret. To adjust the sail, you must understand life's cost system. Nothing is free. Everything has a price. The question is not whether you are going to suffer. The question is what kind of suffering you are going to choose. Jim Rohn left us this immortal quote: "We must all suffer one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is that discipline weighs ounces, while regret weighs tons." Analyze this scale. The pain of discipline. It is the small discomfort of saying no to dessert. It is the slight bother of getting up half an hour earlier to read. It is the effort to save that money instead of spending it. It is a light, manageable pain that lasts a moment. It weighs ounces. The pain of regret. It is the pain of reaching 60 and realizing you are sick, broke, and alone because you didn't make the right decisions when you could. It is the pain of looking back and saying, "If only I had." That pain doesn't go away. It crushes you. It weighs tons. Adjusting the sail means voluntarily choosing the ounces of discipline today to avoid the tons of regret tomorrow. It is an act of supreme intelligence. It is paying the small price now to receive the giant reward later. The fool wants the pleasure now and pays the pain later, with interest. The wise person pays the pain, discipline now, and receives the pleasure later, with compound interest. 4. The I am responsible philosophy. Now that we understand the mechanics, how do we initiate the turn? How do we grab the ropes of the sail and move them? The first movement is not physical, it is mental. You must eliminate the excuse list from your vocabulary. If you ask someone why they are not doing well, they will pull out their list. It's the economy. It's my boss. It's the taxes. It's my education. It's the weather. It's my partner. As long as you have that list in hand, your sail is loose, flapping in the wind, and your ship is adrift. Blaming the wind is the mark of the loser. The wind doesn't listen to you. The government doesn't wake up thinking about how to solve your personal problems. The day you change your life is the day you tear up that list and write a single sentence on a blank page: I am responsible. If I have little money, it is my responsibility. If I have poor health, it is my responsibility. If I am ignorant, it is my responsibility. This sounds harsh, but it is the most liberating news you will ever receive. Because if the problem were them, the government, the boss, you would be condemned. You cannot change them. You would have to wait for the world to change so you could improve. That is a sentence of powerlessness. But if the problem is you, then there is hope. Because you can change yourself, you can read another book, you can learn another skill, you can change your habits. By assuming total responsibility, you regain total control of the rudder. The miracle of personal development. You don't have to change the country. You have to change yourself. Jim Rohn said, for things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to get better. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. When you grow, everything around you grows with you. Your sail gets bigger. Your ship gets faster. The same wind that used to frighten you now propels you at breakneck speeds. 5. Today's action. The degree turn. Finally, how do you start? Don't try to change your entire ship in one day. That is impossible. A 180-degree change, of course, is traumatic. The adjustment of the sail is done degree by degree. If a ship changes its course by only 1 degree to the east, at first the difference is unnoticeable. But after crossing the ocean, That 1 degree of difference will take it to a completely different continent. Your daily disciplines are that degree. Start today, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day fools fail. Today, choose one simple discipline you have been neglecting. Perhaps it is reading for 15 minutes. Perhaps it is walking for 20 minutes. Perhaps it is drinking water instead of soda. Perhaps it is saying thank you. Do it. And when you do it, notice how you feel. You will feel a small spark of pride. It is not arrogance, it is self-esteem. It is the feeling that you are taking control. That pride is the fuel to adjust the sail a little more tomorrow. Success feeds on itself. One discipline leads to another. If you clean your desk, you will want to clean up your finances. If you control your mouth, you will want to control your diet. It is a positive chain reaction. Remember this. Every day counts. There are no neutral days. You are either setting the sail toward the destination you desire, discipline, or you are leaving it loose toward the rocks, negligence. You cannot pause life. The wind always blows, time always runs, your ship is moving right now. The question is, who is in command? Your old habits or your new philosophy? The adjustment of the sail is not a single act. It is constant vigilance. It is checking the compass every morning. It is correcting the course when you deviate. It is the eternal dedication to continuous improvement. Chapter 2, The Philosophy of the Ant, Never Give Up. If you look at the ground anywhere on the planet, you will find the greatest masters of tenacity. They have no schools, they don't read books, they don't attend motivational seminars, yet they have survived ice ages, cataclysms, and the tread of man. Ants possess a 4-part life philosophy. It is a simple philosophy, brutally effective and totally free of ego. If you could install the ant software into your human mind, your success would be mathematically guaranteed. It would not be a question of if you will achieve it, but when. Let's analyze the mind of this small titan. First principle, the law of the infinite root, never give up. The first part of the ant's philosophy is chilling in its simplicity. Ants never give up. Think about it. If you see a line of ants walking toward their goal and you put a rock in their path, what do? Do they stop? Do they sit down and cry? Do they complain to the ant government? Do they get depressed and return to the anthill saying, it's too hard? No, immediately, without a second of hesitation, they look for another way. They try to go over it. If they can't, they try to go under it. If not, they go around to the left. If not, they go around to the right. And if you block them completely, they will look for another route until they die. Their programming is binary. Either I find the way, or I die trying. The option to quit does not exist. The human failure, the option to stop. Compare this to human behavior. We have something that ants don't, the capacity to rationalize defeat. We have a complex intelligence that we use to invent brilliant excuses to stop. The market is saturated. I'm too old. I don't have the contacts. I tried twice and it didn't work. When a human encounters a rock in the path, they often stop and build a house next to the rock and live there the rest of their lives talking about how unfair the rock was. The ant does not see the rock as an end point. It sees it as a geographical datum that must be circumvented. To transform your existence, you must adopt this binary mindset. You must remove quitting from your menu of options. If your goal is financial freedom and your first business fails, what do? You go around to the left. You look for another job. You learn another skill. You sell something else. If your goal is health and one diet fails, you try another. Persistence is not stubbornness. It is flexibility. The ant does not hit the rock with its head. It flows around it like water. The lesson is, you can change the tactic, but you never change the destination. 2-second principle, thinking of winter in the summer. This is the lesson of perspective. In the summer, when the sun shines, food is abundant and life is easy, it is very tempting to relax. It is easy to believe that summer will last forever. Human beings are famous for this myopia. When the economy is good, people spend everything they earn. They buy expensive cars, travel, eat out. They live on the edge of their income because their summer philosophy tells them, the sun will always shine, there will always be money. But the ant is wiser. While the ants are collecting food in the middle of July, they are not enjoying the sun. They have a strange urgency. Why? Because they know something fundamental. Summer is not eternal. Winter is coming. The ant thinks of winter all summer. It knows that the current abundance is temporary. It knows that times of cold, scarcity, and darkness will arrive. And because it knows this, it does not consume everything it finds. It accumulates, it saves, it prepares, it builds reserves. The human application, the discipline of reserve. This is the cure for future anxiety. Anxiety is often the result of knowing deep down that you are not prepared for winter. If you live paycheck to paycheck, you are living a cicada philosophy, singing in the summer without thinking about the cold. The ant's philosophy demands that you be realistic. In finances, when you earn money, don't spend it all, save a portion, invest. The economic winter, a recession, a layoff, an illness will come. If you have reserves, winter is just a season. If you don't have reserves, winter is a tragedy. In health, when you are young and strong, summer, that is when you should build your body. Don't wait until you are sick, winter, to start taking care of yourself. In relationships, when everything is going well with your partner, that is the time to invest in the relationship, to create memories, to strengthen the bond. Those are the reserves that will allow you to survive crises. Don't be fooled by the sun. Enjoy it, yes, but use it to work. Wise people use good times to shield themselves against bad times. Foolish people get drunk on the good times and die in the bad times. When you are in the middle of a personal crisis, a depression, a bankruptcy, a divorce, the ant's logic of working hard doesn't seem enough. You need more than physical discipline. You need emotional discipline. You need a reason not to let yourself freeze to death. Here is where the ant teaches us its third principle, the secret of its psychological survival. Third principle, thinking of summer in the winter. Observe the ants in winter. You don't see them. They are underground, locked in, huddled together, consuming the reserves they saved. Outside, the world is hostile. It is cold. There is no food. If they went out, they would die. Any rational mind would look at the situation and say, "This is the end. The world has become a dark and barren place. There is no hope." But the ant does not think that way. While down there in the darkness, shivering from the cold, the ant is executing a very specific mental program. It is thinking of summer. It knows something that is an unbreakable universal law. Winter is not eternal. It knows that the earth continues to turn. It knows that the sun has not died, only moved away. It knows that inevitably, mathematically, without a doubt, the first day of spring will arrive, and that absolute certainty is what keeps it alive. The psychology of active hope. Human beings, in contrast, tend to commit a tragic mistake when their personal winter arrives. We make the temporary permanent. When we lose our job, we think, "I will never find another one." When we have our hearts broken, we think, "I will never love again." When we fall into depression, we think, "This darkness is my new reality forever." We let winter enter our minds. And when winter enters the mind, the spirit freezes. That is hopelessness. It is the belief that the current season is the only season that exists. The ant's philosophy teaches us radical hope. It is not naive optimism. Everything is wonderful while freezing. It is cyclical realism. It is saying, "This is awful, it is cold, it hurts, but it is a season, and seasons pass." The promise of the first warm day. What does the ant do the first day the sun comes out and the temperature rises slightly? Does it stay in the hole complaining about how hard the winter was? Does it stay in bed saying, "I need to recover from the trauma of the cold"? No, on the first warm day, the ants come out. Boom, they are outside immediately. They return to work. They return to exploring. They return to building. They don't hold a grudge against winter. They don't waste time on self-pity. They were ready. They were at the door, waiting for the first sign of light to reactivate their mission. Application: your personal winter. To transform your existence, you must learn to manage your winters with this mindset. Perhaps you are in a financial winter right now. You have lost money. Sales are down. The philosophy of thinking of summer means that you do not become paralyzed. Review your reserves. Reduce your spending. Survive. But most importantly, prepare your tools for spring. Study, read, plan, improve your skills while you are in the cave. Do not let yourself die inside. Maintain the vision that the economy will turn, that opportunity will return, And when it does, which it will, you have to be at the door, ready to run, not lying in bed lamenting. Winter is the time of character gestation. It is where you are tested. Anyone can be positive in summer. Only the wise, like the ants, maintain enthusiasm when the sky is grey. Always remember, this too shall pass. Fourth principle, the law of capacity, how much? Now we arrive at the pinnacle of the ant's philosophy. The fourth principle is the one that most shames us as a species, because it reveals our greatest weakness, the tendency toward mediocrity. The question is simple. How much food will an ant collect during the summer to prepare for winter? Will it collect just enough to get by? Will it collect a little less than last year because it's tired? Will it collect what everyone else collects so as not to stand out? Will it stop when it has met a union quota, or when it has worked 8 hours? No, the answer is devastating. It will collect all it possibly can. All it possibly can. If it can carry one more grain, it will carry it. If it can make one more trip before the sun sets, it will do it. If it finds a mountain of sugar, it will not take a little and leave. It will call all its sisters, and they will take the whole mountain until nothing is left or until they drop from exhaustion. The ant has no internal break. It has no ego that tells it, "You've done enough for today, take a break, you deserve it." Its programming is total excellence. Its biological mandate is to stretch its capacity to the absolute limit of its potential. The tragedy of human potential. Now let's look at the human being. We are the only life form on this planet that has the option to do less than we are capable of. A tree has no option. If a tree can grow up to 10 feet, it doesn't grow to 6 feet and say, "Well, that's enough for today. I don't want to overshadow others." The tree sinks its roots as deep as it can and stretches its branches as high as it can. It fulfills its genetic mandate to the maximum. Animals do the same. A cheetah does not run at 50% of its speed if it is hungry. It runs at everything it's got. But humans, we have the gift and the curse of free will. We have the option to be part of everything we can be, or to be a fraction of everything we can be. And tragically, most choose the fraction. Most people do the minimum necessary not to be fired. They do the minimum necessary to keep their health acceptable. They do the minimum necessary so their relationship doesn't break up. They live in the realm of enough. Jim Rohn taught us that this choice is the origin of human unhappiness. He said, "Doing less than you are capable of doing damages your psyche." It is a form of self-betrayal. When you know you could have done more, studied more, strived more, and you choose not to, something inside you dies a little. Your self-esteem drops. Your confidence erodes. You cannot feel good about yourself if you know you are operating at 20% of your capacity. The ant's philosophy confronts us with a brutal ethic. Not maximizing your potential is a crime against your own existence. Why would you want to see how much less you can do? Why not see how much more you can do? The question you should ask yourself is not, how much do I have to do to pay the bills? That is the mediocre question. The ant's question, the question of the life craftsman, is, how much is it possible for me to do? How many books can I read in a lifetime? How much money can I earn if I really apply myself to the maximum? How much health can I develop? How many people can I help? How far can I go? You don't do it for the money. You don't do it for the recognition. You do it to see who you can become in the process. The ant does not collect food to be the richest ant in the cemetery. It does it because that is its nature, the maximum expansion of its capacity. The danger of downward comparison. The enemy of this principle is comparison with the average. You look around and say, "Well, I'm doing more than my brother-in-law. I'm better than the national average." That is a trap. The average is the path to mediocrity. Do not compare yourself to others. Ants do not look at each other to see who works less. Compare yourself to your potential. Compare yourself to what you could be if you took off the brakes. Are you performing at the level of your capacity? That is the only measure that matters at the end of the day. The all-you-can discipline. Imagine how your life would change if you adopted the all-you-can philosophy today. In your work, don't work by the hour, work by results, give everything you have. Not so the boss sees you, but so you see yourself being excellent. In your home, love as much as you can. Don't hold back affection just in case, give it all. In your development, learn everything you can. The result of this philosophy is not exhaustion. It is invigoration. The human being is designed for effort and achievement. The sweetest rest is the one that comes after giving your all. The rest of one who did little is bitter. It is full of guilt and anxiety. The ant sleeps peacefully in winter because it knows it didn't leave a single grain of food in the field. Its conscience is clear. It has fulfilled its mandate. We have completed the study of nature's smallest teacher. Let's review the complete ant code. 1. Never give up. If there is an obstacle, look for another path. Be flexible but relentless. 2. Look ahead. Think of winter in the summer. Don't eat everything you harvest. Build security. 3. Maintain faith. Think of summer in the winter. Don't let the cold enter your soul. Stay ready to run out at the first ray of sun. 4. Do all you can. Do not settle for less than your maximum potential. If you apply these 4 simple points, your life will be transformed. You don't need magic. You need the quiet, constant tenacity of nature. You need to stop negotiating with your laziness and start signing a contract with your excellence. Chapter 3. Market value. Working on yourself. Imagine an honest, hard-working and good man. He gets up early, goes to his job, strives, sweats, comes home exhausted, and at the end of the month, he looks at his check and says, "This isn't fair. With how much I work, I should earn more. I need more money to pay my bills." This man is trapped in the illusion of effort. He believes that life rewards sweat. He believes that life rewards need. "I need money for my children," he says. But the job market, the economy, and life itself have a cold answer for him. No one cares about your need. This phrase sounds cruel, but it is the law of economic gravity. If you go to the bank and say, "I need money because I am a good person," they won't give you anything. If you go to your boss and say, "I need a raise because my expenses have gone up," he will tell you that is your problem, not the company's. To transform your existence, you must understand how the reward mechanism of planet Earth works. Jim Rohn summarized it in a phrase that has changed more bank accounts than any economics book. You don't get paid for your time. You get paid for the value you bring to the time. Most people say, "I earn $20 an hour." That is a lie. If it were true, you could stay home sitting on the sofa and send your hour to work, and you would be paid. You are not paid for the hour. Time is abundant. Everyone has 24 hours. You are paid for the quality of what you do during that hour. You are paid for the productivity, innovation, and problem-solving you put into those 60 minutes. This distinction changes everything. Why does someone earn $10 an hour? It is not because the boss is mean. It is because the value that person brings to the market is low. It is because what they do is easy to replace. Anyone can do it with minimal training. Why does someone earn $500 an hour? It is not because they work 50 times harder. Physically, it's impossible to work 50 times harder than a laborer. They earn that because they bring scarce value, because what they know, what they solve, and what they manage is hard to find. If you want to earn more, the solution is not to ask for more. The solution is not to need more. The solution is to be worth more. You cannot expect the market to pay you above your value. The market is a mirror of your competence. If you don't like what you earn, don't look at the mirror, your check, and shout. Look at yourself. You have to become a person who is worth more. Here enters the second great confusion. Being busy is not the same as being productive. Ants are busy, but if you are busy doing low-value things, your economic life will be low value. Jim Rohn taught us the difference between working on your job and working on yourself. Working on your job allows you to earn a living. It pays the bills, it keeps you afloat, it is noble, but it is linear. If you work hard at your job, you will get a small annual raise, perhaps. Working on yourself allows you to earn a fortune. What does working on yourself mean? It means that after your 8-hour workday ends, your real work begins, the work of building your most valuable asset, you. It means reading the books that others don't read, learning the languages that others don't learn, developing the emotional intelligence that others ignore, cultivating the discipline that others reject. If you spend the day working hard at your job but come home and sit in front of the TV to disconnect, you are choosing stagnation. You are selling your future for a little present entertainment. But if you dedicate 1 hour a day to increasing your value, to learning, to improving, to growing, you enter the magic of personal compound interest. In 5 years, you won't be the same person. You will be someone so skilled, so wise, and so effective that the market will have to pay you 10 times more because there will be no one like you. You will have become irreplaceable. This brings us to the central concept of this chapter. It is a total inversion of how we have been taught to live. We are taught to chase success, chase money, chase love, chase happiness. It is like trying to catch butterflies. The faster you run after them, the faster they fly. You get exhausted, you sweat, you get frustrated, and maybe you catch one or two, but they escape or die in your hands. The philosophy of the Code of Simplicity says, success is not something you chase. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Stop chasing the butterflies. Build a beautiful garden. Work the soil, your mind. Plant the flowers, your habits. Nurture the environment, your character. If you build an attractive garden, the butterflies will come to you. And if they don't come, it doesn't matter because you have a garden. You are still a valuable and fulfilled person. The million-dollar question. If success, money, the ideal partner, the opportunity, arrived in your life today, would you be ready to retain it? If you won $1 million tomorrow, do you have the discipline and wisdom not to lose it in a year? Most people don't. If the perfect partner arrived, do you have the emotional maturity not to sabotage the relationship? Success eludes people who are not ready for it. Therefore, your job is not to seek success outside. Your job is to prepare yourself inside. Your job is to elevate your personal container so that, when the rain of opportunities falls, you have a large barrel to collect it and not a leaky thimble. Most people stop their growth at 25. They finish school, get a job, and say, that's it. I learned what I needed to learn. They close the books. They turn off curiosity, and they turn on the television. At that moment, they begin to die. Or at least they begin to oxidize. Their market value stagnates and then, with inflation and technological change, begins to fall. At 40, they wonder why life is so hard, unaware that they are operating with mental software that hasn't been updated in 2 decades. To transform your existence, you must adopt a new personal religion, the religion of self-education. Jim Rohn left us one of the most quoted and dangerous phrases in the history of personal development. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. Let's analyze this distinction, because it is the border between the middle class and the free class. Formal education, school, university, is designed to teach you to be a functional gear in the machinery of society. It teaches you to follow instructions, memorize data, meet schedules, and perform a technical trade. It teaches you to work in someone else's factory, keep someone else's accounting, and sell someone else's product. It is necessary. It gives you the basic skills not to starve. It gives you a salary. But formal education has a fatal limit. It doesn't teach you how life works. It doesn't teach you how to manage your emotions. It doesn't teach you how to lead. It doesn't teach you how money works, only how to count it. It doesn't teach you to set goals, communicate with impact, or build a robust philosophy of life. It prepares you for survival, not for prosperity. Self-education is what you do after the school bell rings. It is the deliberate, voluntary, and obsessive pursuit of knowledge that makes you better. It is learning what was not on the exam. Self-education doesn't teach you to be a better employee. It teaches you to be a better human being. And curiously, being a better human being is what the market pays best for. The market pays fortunes for leadership, for vision, for empathy, for the ability to resolve conflicts, for creativity. And none of these things are learned in a compulsory textbook. They are learned in the personal library that you choose to build. Imagine your mind is a factory, an incredibly complex processing plant. This factory works 24 hours a day. Even when you sleep, the factory is buzzing, processing materials, creating dreams, repairing tissues, forging habits. The question is, who is responsible for supplying the raw material? You are the purchasing manager. If the purchasing manager supplies the factory with scrap metal, cheap plastic, and poison, what do you think will come off the final assembly line? A defective product will come out. A low-quality life will come out. You cannot build a life of gold with thoughts of lead. Most people feed their mental factory with garbage. They have breakfast with news of crimes and disasters. They lunch with gossip about co-workers. They dine with television shows that celebrate stupidity or violence. And then they ask themselves, why do I feel anxious? Why don't I have brilliant ideas? Why is my life stuck? The equation is brutally simple. What goes in comes out. If you put in fear, anxiety comes out. If you put in cynicism, apathy comes out. If you put in distraction, mediocrity comes out. Working on yourself means taking control of the factory entrance. It means becoming a ruthless gatekeeper. It means saying, I'm sorry, but that toxic conversation is not allowed to enter my mind. That news program is not quality material for my factory. That cheap novel does not build my character. Instead, you start importing luxury materials. You import the ideas of great thinkers. You import the biographies of the men and women who changed the world. You import philosophy, strategy, poetry, finance. When you feed your factory with the best ideas humanity has produced, the inevitable final product is a life of excellence. Let's talk about books. In the age of 15-second videos, the book seems like an obsolete artifact, but the book remains the most powerful technology for transferring wisdom ever invented. Think about this. A man or woman can spend 40 years of their life studying a subject. They suffer, fail, rise up, discover secrets, lose fortunes, and recover them. They spend sleepless nights distilling their experience, removing the chaff and leaving only the grain. And then they condense those 40 years of wisdom and pain into 200 pages. And you can buy those 40 years of experience for the price of a pizza. And you can absorb that wisdom in a single Sunday afternoon. If that is not a miracle, I don't know what is. You can lunch with Aristotle. You can dine with Abraham Lincoln. You can have Benjamin Franklin as your personal mentor. You can learn war strategies from Sun Tzu and investment strategies from Warren Buffett. They are all waiting on the shelf, in silence, ready to give you their most valuable secrets the moment you open the cover. And yet, most houses have giant televisions and minuscule or non-existent libraries. People say, books are expensive. Jim Rohn had the perfect answer for this. If you think the price of a book is expensive, wait till you pay the price of ignorance. Ignorance is the most expensive mortgage you will pay in your life. Ignorance about how money works will cost you millions in interest and bad investments throughout your life. A $20 book could have saved you. Ignorance about how health works will cost you years of pain and medical bills. Ignorance about how relationships work will cost you divorces and loneliness. There is no excuse for ignorance in the information age. Ignorance today is not a lack of resources. It is a lack of desire. It is a choice. The discipline of reading. You don't need to read a book a day. Remember Chapter 1. Success is simple disciplines. Read 30 minutes a day, that's all. If you read 30 minutes a day, you will read approximately 1 book a week. That is 50 books a year. In 5 years, you will have read 250 books. Do you think you will be the same person after absorbing the wisdom of 250 mentors? It is impossible. Your language will change. Your vision will change. Your ability to solve problems will multiply tenfold. You will have separated from the masses. You will have become a high-value person. Books are vital, but they are not the only source. Working on yourself means becoming a student of life. There are 2 ways to learn. From your own experience, it is the most painful and slowest way. You hit the wall, you bleed, and you learn not to do it again. Experience is a hard school, but fools will learn in no other. From other people's experience, OPE. This is the intelligent way. If you see someone ruined by spending more than they earned, you don't need to be ruined yourself to learn the lesson. You can learn from their pain. You can observe. The student of life is always observing. Observe the successful person. How do they walk? How do they shake hands? How do they treat waiters? How do they manage their time? Don't envy them. Study them. They are an open book. Observe the failed person. What habits do they have? How do they speak? What do they complain about? Study them too. They are a warning. They are teaching you what not to do. Everyone is your teacher. The drunk on the corner teaches you the consequences of a lack of discipline. The stressed executive teaches you the price of a lack of balance. The world is a gigantic classroom, but only if you are paying attention. Most people walk around asleep, tripping over the lessons without picking them up. Working on yourself is not just putting in good things. It is also, and perhaps more importantly, preventing bad things from entering. You must learn the art of mental hygiene. Jim Rohn used a brilliant analogy about coffee. Imagine you are drinking a cup of coffee. If your worst enemy comes and throws a sugar cube into your coffee, what happens? Nothing serious. The coffee will be sweet. Your enemy has sweetened your day. Now imagine your best friend, the person who loves you most in the world, comes and by accident mistakes sugar for strychnine, poison, and puts it in your coffee. What happens? You die. Here is the lesson. The coffee does not care who poured the poison. It doesn't matter if it was your enemy with malice or your friend with good intentions. Poison is poison. Chemistry is chemistry. If you drink it, you die. The same thing happens with your mind. If you allow someone to pour gossip, fear, negativity, and doubts into your mind, it doesn't matter if it is your mother, your best friend, or the news anchor who is just informing you. Mental poison is poison. If you drink it, it poisons your attitude, it poisons your hope, it poisons your ability to act. You must learn to stand at the door of your mind. You must be an armed guard. You have to look at the people around you and evaluate what they bring. It does not mean you stop loving them, but it means you can stop listening to them on certain subjects. It means that if the news depresses you, you turn off the television. Period. It means that if a social media account makes you feel inferior, you unfollow it. Protect your mind, as you would protect your body from infection. Your attitude is the most expensive asset you have. Don't let anyone soil it with their dirty shoes. The ultimate goal of working on yourself is not to know more facts. It is to refine character. The success you seek is not something you do. It is something you are. Money, recognition, and opportunities are just the side effects of becoming an attractive person. If you want to attract quality people, you must be a quality person. If you want to attract loyalty, you must be loyal. If you want to attract wealth, you must be a person of value. The refinement process is like polishing a diamond. It is removing the rough edges of your personality, impatience, selfishness, laziness, envy. It is working on your communication. How do you speak? Do your words build or destroy? It is working on your presence. How do you stand? Do you inspire confidence? It is working on your integrity. Do you do what you say you are going to do? This work is invisible. No one applauds you when you decide to read instead of watching TV. No one gives you a medal when you decide to hold back a criticism instead of saying it. But the market senses the difference. The market smells excellence. The market detects substance, and when you become a person of substance, the market, the world, starts opening doors for you that are closed to the superficial. Let's conclude with this. The investment in yourself is the only investment that has no risk of inflation, no taxes, and no theft. If all your money is taken away, if your house is taken away, if your job is taken away, but they leave you with your knowledge, your discipline, your attitude, and your character, you will be able to recover everything in a short time. Because the wealth was not in the bank account. The wealth was you. The bank account was just the shadow of your value. If you invest in yourself, you become a value-generating machine that you can take anywhere in the world. You are portable. You are free. So make the pact today. Adjust your sail. Adopt the tenacity of the ant and commit to working harder on yourself than on your job. Set aside 30 minutes today. Pick up a book. Turn off the noise. Start building the person who will be capable of sustaining the success you desire. Chapter 4, The Mind Diet, The Power of the Library. Let's talk about hunger. Most people are extremely careful about what they feed their bodies. They read food labels, avoid sugar, count calories, look for organic. They understand that if they eat garbage, their body will get sick and their energy will drop. However, those same people have no qualms about feeding their minds with toxic garbage. Day after day, year after year, they suffer from chronic intellectual malnutrition. The fourth discipline of the Code of Simplicity is the mind diet. The premise is devastating. You will become what you think, and you think about what you feed your mind with. If your mind feeds on sensationalist headlines, celebrity gossip, television dramas, and your neighbor's complaints, your life will reflect exactly that. Drama, superficiality, and stagnation. You cannot cook a gourmet dinner with rotten ingredients. You cannot build a world-class life with third-rate information. Jim Rohn made a distinction that separates the masses from success. Poor people have large televisions. Rich people have large libraries. It is not a matter of money. It is a matter of priorities. Society is designed for entertainment. Everything around you competes to distract you, to make you forget, to numb you. Entertainment is easy. It requires no effort. It is passive. Education is difficult. It requires active attention. It requires discipline. There is nothing wrong with occasional entertainment. The problem is when entertainment becomes your main diet and education becomes a rarity. If you spend more money on entertaining yourself than on educating yourself, you have signed a contract with mediocrity. If you spend more time planning your vacation than planning your life, you will be a tourist in your own existence. Success requires you to change your appetite. You have to develop a voracious hunger for ideas, because a single idea can change everything. An idea on how to invest can save you a decade of work. An idea on how to treat your partner can save your marriage. An idea about health can save your life. But those ideas are not going to reach you while you channel surf on the sofa. Those ideas are hidden in books, waiting for you to have the courage to seek them out. What is a book? It is not paper and ink. A book is a condensed life. Imagine that someone spends 30 years researching success. They suffer bankruptcies, betrayals, sleepless nights. They lose everything and regain it. And at the end of their life, they decide to write down everything they learned in 200 pages so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. And you say, I don't have time to read. That is not a lack of time, it is arrogance. It is believing you can navigate life without the map others have already drawn. Jim Rohn said, don't just read what is easy. What is easy won't make you grow. Read what challenges you. There are books that cost $20 and contain advice worth millions. If there were a manual that taught you how to be a millionaire, how to be happy, and how to be healthy, would you read it? The answer is that those manuals exist. There are thousands of them. They are in bookstores gathering dust. The difference between where you are today and where you will be 5 years from now will come down to two things: the people you meet and the books you read. There is something worse than not knowing how to read and choosing not to. The person who can read good books but chooses not to has no advantage over the person who cannot read. Both are ignorant, but one is by misfortune and the other by choice. That is voluntary illiteracy. Do not say books are expensive. If you think the price of a book is high, wait until you pay the price of ignorance. Ignorance charges you compound interest. Ignorance leads to bad investments, bad relationships, bad health. Your personal library is not a luxury, it is an operational necessity. It is your arsenal. It is your toolkit. When you have a problem, you should not have to panic. You should be able to reach out to your bookshelf and pull out the solution. I have a sales problem. There is a book for that. I have an anxiety problem. There is a book for that. I have a leadership problem. There is a book for that. Everything you need to know has already been written by someone who lived it before you. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to read the instruction manual. Your mind is a factory, and if you supply it with faulty raw material, it will produce a faulty life. Ignorance is not a blessing. It is a terminal disease for your dreams. But knowing you need to read is not enough. The world is full of noise, mediocre books, and irrelevant information. If you enter a bookstore without a plan, you will leave with entertainment, not education. To become a craftsman of your destiny, you need a mental feeding protocol. It is not about reading fast, it is about reading deep. It is not about accumulating data, it is about accumulating wisdom. Let's look at the mechanics of building your personal library. The first step in your mental diet is selection. You cannot eat everything in the supermarket, and you cannot read everything in the library. You must be selective. You must become a gourmet of ideas. Jim Rohn suggested a balanced diet based on 3 essential categories. If you neglect one, your growth will be deformed. Category A: philosophy and mindset, the foundations. These are the books that teach you how to think, not what to think. They are the books that adjust your sail. Most people want books on how to make money fast. But if you don't have the right philosophy, the money will destroy you. You need to read the classics. You need to read about stoicism, about ethics, about human nature. Why? Because tactics change, but principles are eternal. A marketing tactics book from 1990 is garbage today. A philosophy book by Seneca from 60 AD is more relevant today than ever. Build your foundations on the rock of immutable principles. Read books that refine your character. that challenge your beliefs about right and wrong, about responsibility and freedom. Category B, skills and strategy, the tools. Once you have the philosophy, you need the technique. You need to be competent in the market. If you are a salesperson, you must read everything ever written about sales. You cannot afford not to know what the masters know. If you are a leader, you must study leadership. If you want health, you must study nutrition and biology. This is the technical part of your diet. It is the protein that builds the muscle of your career. The question you should ask yourself is, what are the 5 foundational books in my industry? If you haven't read and underlined them, you are operating as an amateur. A professional knows the literature of their craft. Category C, biography and history, the evidence. This is Jim Rohn's favorite category, and the most underestimated. When you feel discouraged, when you believe your problems are unique and the world is against you, read a biography. Read about Abraham Lincoln, about Gandhi, about Marie Curie, about entrepreneurs who started in garages. What will you discover? You will discover that your problems are not new. You will discover that men and women with fewer resources than you faced worse obstacles and overcame them. Biographies are the evidence that it is possible. They are fuel for hope. When you read the life of a great person, you realize they were not superheroes. They were ordinary people who applied extraordinary disciplines, and if they could, you can. Biography gives you perspective. It pulls you out of your small bubble of self-pity and connects you with the history of human triumph. Buying the book is the easy step. Reading it is the intermediate step. Extracting the value is the master step. Many people read a book like they watch a movie, to pass the time. They finish the last page, close the book and say, "It was good." And the following week, they have forgotten 90% of what they read. That is not studying, it is intellectual tourism. The craftsman of life does not read, he excavates. Treat the book like a gold mine. Your goal is not to reach the end, your goal is to leave with the gold nuggets. The active reading protocol. Do not read without a pencil. Reading without underlining is like eating without digesting. You must interact with the text. If you find a powerful idea, underline it. Put stars in the margin. Write your own notes. Argue with the author in the margins. Make the book yours. A clean book is a book that has not been worked. The law of repetition. Do not read a good book only once. If a book changes your life, read it 5 times. Read it once a year. Why? Because you change. The book is the same, but you are a different person the second time you read it. You have more experience, more pain, more victories. You will see things in the second reading that were invisible to you in the first. Repetition is the mother of retention. The application. Question. At the end of every chapter, stop. Do not keep reading. Close the book and ask yourself one question. How can I apply this today? Knowledge is not power. It is potential power. It only becomes power when it is applied. If you read an idea about how to treat people better, and you don't use it at dinner with your family tonight, you have wasted time. Convert the idea into action immediately. Now let's face the number one excuse. I don't have time. This is the lie you tell yourself to protect your laziness. We all have the same time. The difference is what we invest it in. You don't need hours, you need 30 minutes. Do the life math. If you read 30 minutes every morning or every night, you will read approximately 10 to 15 pages, depending on your speed. Let's say 10 pages. 10 of x times 365x, or 3050x to dasa. The average book is about 250 pages. 3,750 dev $250 is approximately 14 books a year. Think about this. If you read 14 books a year about your profession, your health, and your personal development, in 5 years you will have read 70 books. Do you think you will be the same person after absorbing the wisdom of 70 mentors? It's impossible. Your language will change. Your vision will change. Your ability to solve problems will multiply tenfold. You will have separated from the masses. You will have become a high-value person. Jim Rohn urged us to build a personal library. Not digital books lost on a tablet, although they help, but a physical library. Shelves full of wisdom in your house. Why? Because your library is a message. It is a message to yourself and to your children. When you enter your house and see shelves full of knowledge, your subconscious receives the message. A student lives here. Someone who values growth lives here. It transforms the atmosphere of your home. And think about the legacy. What inheritance are you going to leave your children? Old furniture, a used car, or are you going to leave them the books that changed your life, with your notes in the margins, your underlining, your thoughts? Your library is the best gift you can leave. It is handing them the tools you use to build your life. Jim Rohn said, "Don't let your children have to search for wisdom in the street. Make sure the best information on how to live a good life is available in your own home." Invest money in books. Many people complain that a book costs $20, but don't hesitate to spend $50 on a dinner they will forget tomorrow. The $20 book may contain an idea that makes you $20,000. Never be cheap with your education. Empty your pockets into your mind and your mind will fill your pockets. The mind diet is not just eating well. It is also, and perhaps more importantly, preventing poison from entering. We live in the age of informational intoxication. Never before in history have we had so much access to information, and never before have we had so much access to stupidity, fear, and triviality. Your mind is a fertile garden. What you plant will grow. If you plant seeds of fear, news, anxiety will grow. If you plant seeds of hatred, polarized politics, conflict will grow. If you plant seeds of triviality, celebrity gossip, mediocrity will grow. You must learn to stand at the gate of your mind. You must be an armed sentry. You have to learn to turn off. Turn off the news. Most news are not facts. They are businesses designed to keep you scared and looking at the screen. If something truly important happens, you will find out. You don't need to inject yourself with a daily dose of global tragedy before breakfast. That poisons your spirit before the day begins. Be ruthless with your social circle. If you are in a group of friends who only talk about how bad everything is, about illnesses and complaints, you have to make an executive decision. Either you change the subject of conversation, or you change friends. You cannot afford the luxury of constant negative influence. Jim Rohn said, "You can afford to lose money, you can make it back, but you cannot afford to lose your mind. If you surround yourself with people who throw mental garbage, you will eventually smell like garbage. Protect your mind as the most valuable asset you possess because all your life flows from it." Although we will dedicate an entire chapter to the journal later, chapter 6, it is important to mention it here as part of the diet. Reading is inhalation. Writing is exhalation. You cannot just consume information, you need to process it. When you read something good, write it down. Do not rely on your memory is a sieve. Pale ink is stronger than the brightest memory. If you hear a good idea, capture it. Write it in your notebook. By writing it, you do 3 things. 1, you tell your brain that this is important. 2, you clarify the idea by putting it into your own words. 3, you create your own wealth bank that you can return to in the future. Become a collector of good ideas. Do not just collect things, collect wisdom. Things break, wisdom lasts forever. The ultimate goal of this diet is not to be a walking encyclopedia. It is not to win trivial pursuit arguments. The goal is transformation. There is a giant difference between knowing and being. You can know everything about nutrition and be overweight. You can know everything about finance and be broke. The mental diet seeks for knowledge to descend from the head to the heart and the hands. It seeks for you to become a person of substance. When you feed on great ideas, your presence changes. Your conversation changes. You no longer talk about people. You talk about ideas. You no longer talk about problems. You talk about solutions. Your confidence changes. You know you have answers. You know you can learn what you don't know. You become attractive to the market and the world. Rich and successful people do not associate with mediocre people. They associate with interesting people, people who have something to contribute. If you want to sit at the table of the greats, you have to have something to say. You have to have cultivated your mind. Success seeks preparation. Are you preparing? I conclude with this. The table is set. The banquet of human wisdom is spread out before you. The greatest masters of history have cooked the most exquisite dishes for your mind. They have left their recipes, their maps, their secrets. And it is all there, within your reach, waiting in a book. Do not starve in the middle of the banquet. Do not make the excuse of time. Do not make the excuse of money. It is a matter of appetite. Do you have a hunger for a better life? Do you have a hunger to be more? If the answer is yes, then the instruction is simple. Feed yourself. Start today. Do not go to sleep tonight without having read at least 15 minutes of something that nourishes your soul. Do not let another day pass, feeding your mind with garbage. Your future is being formed by the thoughts you choose today. Choose golden thoughts, and you will build a golden life. Chapter 5. The Law of Association, the Circle of Influence. The fifth discipline of the Code of Simplicity is the ruthless management of your circle of influence. Jim Rohn left us a mathematical law that terrifies many, but liberates those who understand it. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Pause for a moment and let that sink in. Look at your financial life. It is probably the average of your 5 closest friends. Look at your attitude. It is the average of your circle's attitude. Look at your health and weight. They probably oscillate in the same range as the people you eat and live with. Influence is not a game. It is a matter of life and death for your dreams. If you plant a healthy seed in toxic soil, the seed dies. No matter how positive the seed is, the soil wins. You are the seed. Your environment is the soil. The fundamental mistake that most people make is believing they are immune to influence. You say, I know what I want. My friends are negative, but I am strong. They don't affect me. You are lying to yourself. Influence does not work through strong pushes. It works through subtle nudges. It is like gravity or erosion, drop by drop. If you associate with people who spend everything they earn little by little, you start to feel that saving is cheap. Your standard lowers. If you associate with people who complain about the government, little by little, you start to feel that success is impossible and you join the chorus of complaint. If you associate with people who eat poorly little by little, you order dessert because everyone else is doing it. Never underestimate the power of influence. Influence can change your accent, your style of dress, your way of speaking, and, most dangerously, your way of thinking. No one puts a gun to your head to make you give up your dreams. They simply surround you with subtle doubts, with sarcasm, with be realistic until you yourself put your arms down. Influence takes you off course 1 degree at a time until you end up in a destiny you never chose. To apply this discipline, you must stop being naive and become an auditor of your own social life. Jim Rohn proposed 3 vital questions you must ask yourself about every person you allow into your inner circle. These are not questions to judge their worth as human beings, but to judge their worth as influences on your destiny. Question 1. Who do I spend my time with? Make a list. Names and last names. Who are they? Family, co-workers, childhood friends, the bar group. You need to know who is entering your mind. Question 2. What are they doing to me? This is the painful question. You have to analyze the net effect of the relationship. What do they talk about? Ideas or people? The future or the past? How do you feel after seeing them? Energized or drained, inspired or cynical? Where do they take you? To the bookstore or the bar? What do they make you listen to? What do they make you read? What do they make you think? Question 3. Is that good for me? Here is where you make the decision. If the answer is they are making me cynical, they are making me overspend, they are making me doubt myself, then the final answer is no, it is not good. You cannot afford the luxury of a negative influence if you want a positive life. You have to have the courage to look at your list and say, this relationship is an anchor. Here is a trap. It is easy to move away from wicked, criminal, or openly destructive people, but the real danger to your success is not the bad ones. It is the good, mediocre ones. They are your lifelong friends. They are good people. They love you. They are kind. But they are not going anywhere. They are stuck. They don't read. They don't grow. They settle. And because they love you, they want you to settle too. Don't work so hard, they tell you. Relax. Life is for enjoying. Why do you want more? Their love is a velvet cage. They want to keep you at their level because if you grow, they become uncomfortable. Your growth reminds them of their stagnation. These are the most dangerous influences because they are subtle. They kill you with kindness. They drown you with comfort. If you want to transform your existence, sometimes you have to break with the good people who prevent you from being a great person. Your social circle sets your standards. If you play tennis with someone worse than you, your level drops. If you play with someone better than you, your level automatically rises. It is the law of competition and reference. In life, your circle of influence establishes what is normal. If all your friends earn $30,000 a year, earning $30,000 will seem normal and enough. Your financial thermostat adjusts there. Earning $100,000 will seem impossible or suspicious. If you surround yourself with people who earn $100,000 a month, suddenly, your $30,000 a year will seem like an emergency. Your brain will activate to look for solutions. What was once a ceiling is now the floor. Surrounding yourself with winners does not guarantee you will win, but surrounding yourself with losers guarantees you will lose. Mediocrity loves company. Success loves competition. You have made your list. You have looked at the names, and you have realized the uncomfortable truth. There are people in your life who are costing you too much. Now you face the hardest decision of the life craftsman. You have to prune the tree. You have to take control of who has access to your mind and your time. To manage your circle of influence, Jim Rohn left us 3 master strategies. They are not cruel, they are necessary. They are the survival protocols for your potential. These strategies are disengagement, limited association, and expanded association. Let's start with the hardest part. There are relationships that cannot be fixed. There are influences that are purely toxic. We are talking about people who actively destroy your well-being, those who mock your dreams, those who incite you to destructive vices, those who are dishonest, those who always bring drama and chaos. For this group, the only intelligent option is total disengagement. You have to cut the cord. People say, but that's cruel, I can't turn my back on them. Listen carefully, it is not cruel, it is self-defense. If someone has tuberculosis, you don't let them cough in your face out of kindness. You move away so you don't get sick. Cynicism, chronic negativity, and lack of ethics are diseases of the spirit. They are contagious. Jim Rohn said, you have to learn to divorce negative influence. You don't necessarily have to legally divorce the person, although sometimes you do, but you must divorce their influence. But in the most severe cases, you must move away physically. The savior fallacy. Many do not move away because they believe they can change the other person. They believe that if they stay, their light will illuminate the other's darkness. Be careful. That is the arrogance of the ego. The reality is often the opposite. It is much easier for them to drag you down than for you to lift them up. If one man is standing on a chair and another is on the floor and they hold hands to pull, who wins? The one on the floor. Gravity is on their side. It is easier to fall than to climb. If you stay with destructive people expecting to change them, the only thing you will achieve is destroying yourself. You are not a rehabilitation center. You are not the world's savior. Your first responsibility is to save your own potential. Sometimes the most loving way to treat someone toxic is to move away, demonstrating that their behavior has consequences. Loneliness. Do it with elegance. You don't need a dramatic scene. You don't need to shout. You simply stop being available. You stop answering the calls that drain you. You stop going to the places they go. You close the door. Now we go to the gray area where most of your people live. What do you do with the good, mediocre ones? What do you do with the childhood friend who is a good person but has no ambition? What do you do with the relative who loves you but spends Christmas dinner complaining about the government? You cannot disengage from your mother or your lifelong best friend unless they are toxic, of course, but you also cannot allow them to dominate your time. The solution is limited association. The rule is simple. Do not spend major time with minor influences. You can have a 20-minute coffee with that complaining friend, but you cannot go on a week-long vacation with them. You can have dinner with that negative relative once a month, but you cannot talk to them on the phone every day. Controlling the menu. In limited association, you control the menu of the interaction. If you know that a certain person always starts talking about illnesses or gossip, you control the conversation. You don't let them lead. And if the conversation turns toxic, you end the interaction. I loved seeing you, but I have to go. You protect your mind by limiting exposure. It is like eating dessert. A little dessert is fine, but if you eat dessert for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you get sick. Stagnant people are like dessert. Pleasant in small doses, dangerous in large quantities. Love your family, love your old friends, but do not hand them the keys to your future. Give them your affection, but do not give them your productive time. This is where growth begins. If you have cleaned your garden of weeds, disengagement, and pruned the bushes, limited association, you now have space. You have to plant oaks. You have to seek expanded association. This means spending more time with people who have what you want, who are who you want to be, and who challenge you to grow. Jim Rohn said, "Spend time with people who force you to stand on your tiptoes. People who, when you are with them, you feel like you have to read more, dress better, speak better, and think faster just to keep up." That discomfort is the pain of growth. It is the stretching of your soul. How do you find these people? They are not going to come knocking on your door. Successful people are busy. You have to go find them. They are not at the bar on a Tuesday night. They are at conferences. They are in business clubs. They are in places where value is cultivated. They are on the boards of charitable organizations. And here is the million-dollar question. How do I get a successful person to want to spend time with me? The answer is not to ask. The answer is to offer. Successful people look for value. They don't look for parasites. They don't look for fans. They look for equals or promising apprentices. If you want to associate with someone successful, don't say, "Buy me a coffee, I want to pick your brain." That is selfish. You are asking them to give you their years of experience for free. Tell them, "I admire your work. I have read everything you have written. How can I help you? Can I work for you for free on this project? Can I solve this problem for you?" Or use the access investment technique. You invite. Jim Rohn told the story of how, when he was young and poor, he saved money to take rich people out to dinner. He said, "If I have to spend $100, which hurts, to buy dinner for a man who earns $1 million, and I can listen to him talk for 2 hours like it's the best investment of my life, pay the price. Buy the seminar ticket, pay for the course, travel to the event. Pay to be in the same room as people who play at a higher level." Energy is contagious. What if you live in a small town? What if you don't have money to invite anyone to dinner? What if you don't know any successful people? There is no excuse. You have access to association by power. You can spend time with the greatest minds in history for free every day, through books, audio, and videos. You can have breakfast with Leonardo da Vinci. You can drive to work with Tony Robbins or Jim Rohn talking in your ear. You can go to sleep with the reflections of Marcus Aurelius. If you read someone's book, you are associating with them. You are letting their thoughts enter your mind. If you listen to this audiobook, you are associating with the philosophy of success. During these minutes, you are not listening to your complaining neighbor. You are listening to ideas of transformation. That counts, that changes your average. The Invisible Board of Directors. Napoleon Hill, another great success mentor, suggested creating an invisible council. Imagine you have a meeting table in your mind. Choose 5 people, living or dead, whom you deeply admire. Seat them at your mental table. When you have a problem, close your eyes and ask them, "What would Steve Jobs do in this situation? What would my wise grandmother advise me? What would Winston Churchill do?" You will be surprised by the wisdom that arises from yourself when you change perspective and mentally associate with greatness. You are channeling their attitude. Finally, the ultimate secret of expanded association is not chasing successful people. It is becoming someone that successful people want to be with. Remember Chapter 3. Success is something you attract by the person you become. If you want loyal friends, be loyal. If you want wealthy friends, develop a wealth mindset. If you want interesting friends, be interesting. Work so hard on yourself, reading, skills, character, discipline, that you become magnetic. When you shine, you don't have to seek the light. The light seeks you. Bees do not chase flowers. Flowers generate nectar, and bees come, generate nectar, generate value. And you will see how your circle of influence changes organically. Complainers will move away from you because your light bothers them, and that's good. And winners will approach you because they recognize one of their own. Association is not just with people, it is with places. Places have vibration. There are places that make you feel small, dirty, or tired. There are places that make you feel great, capable, and worthy. As part of your discipline, seek to associate with environments of excellence. Sometimes go have coffee at the most expensive hotel in your city, even if you only pay for the coffee. Sit in the lobby, breathe the air, watch how people move, absorb the atmosphere of abundance. Do not go with envy, go with curiosity. Go to tell your subconscious, I belong here, this is possible for me. Get out of your neighborhood. Visit museums, walk in beautiful parks. Your physical environment constantly speaks to your self-image. If you change your scenery, even for an hour a week, you change your script. The guardian's responsibility. We conclude this chapter with a reminder of your responsibility. You are the guardian of your soul. No one else is going to protect your mind. No one else cares about your dreams as much as you do. If you leave the door of your mind open, anyone will come in and throw garbage, and you will have to live with the smell. Taking control of your circle of influence is an act of maturity. It means accepting that you cannot save everyone, but you can save yourself. It means accepting that some people belong to your history, but not to your destiny. It means having the courage to walk alone for a while if necessary, rather than walking in the wrong direction accompanied. Do the cleanup. Review your calendar. Review your contacts. Make space. Because when you create a void of toxic people, the universe rushes to fill it with people who resonate with your new level. Do not be afraid to let go. What you let go of is the ballast that prevents you from flying. Chapter 6. The Captain's Log, Capturing the Past. Imagine a ship captain navigating unknown waters. He faces storms, discovers new islands, makes navigation errors, and finds favorable currents. What is the first thing he does at the end of the day, before going to sleep? He opens his logbook. He records the coordinates, he records the weather, he records what worked and what almost sank the ship. He does this because he knows memory is treacherous. He knows that if he doesn't capture the details today, tomorrow they will be lost in the fog of forgetfulness. And if he forgets where the rocks are, he will crash into them again. You are the captain of your life, but where is your logbook? The sixth discipline of the Code of Simplicity is the art of keeping a journal. I'm not talking about a teenage diary. Dear diary, I felt sad today. I'm talking about a life laboratory. I'm talking about a strategic document where you capture the treasures the universe delivers to you every day, and which you, out of laziness or ignorance, let fall to the floor. 1. The photographic memory fallacy. The first mistake people make is relying on their memory. You say, wow, what a great idea I just had. I'll never forget it. I assure you that you will forget it. You say, this painful experience has taught me a lesson I will remember forever. In 6 months the pain will be gone and the lesson will have vanished. And in a year you will make the same mistake again. Jim Rohn taught us a golden rule. Don't trust your memory. Your memory is a sieve, not a safe. It is designed to forget, to make space for the new. If you want to retain the value of your life, you cannot store it in your head. You have to store it on paper. Pale paper is stronger than the brightest memory. When you write something down, you do magic. You convert the ethereal, a thought, an emotion, an event, into something physical, ink. You crystallize it. You take it out of time and make it eternal. 2. Being a serious student of your own life. There are 2 types of people, those who live their life and those who study their life. The one who only lives reacts. Things happen, he laughs, he cries, and he moves on. At the end of his days, he has many experiences, but little wisdom. He is a tourist. The one who studies his life stops. He observes, he writes, he analyzes. Why did this happen to me? What did I do to cause it? How did I react? What did I learn? Keeping a journal is the act of becoming a serious student of your own existence. It is telling the universe, I value what you are teaching me so much that I am going to take notes. And the universe, like any good teacher, when it sees a student taking notes, teaches him more. If you don't take notes, life stops teaching you new lessons and forces you to repeat the course. It sends you the same problem, the same debt, the same toxic relationship over and over until you stop and write down the lesson. 3. The 3 treasures to capture. What should a craftsman write in his journal? It's not a record of I woke up, ate, slept. That is boring. You must capture 3 types of treasures. A. Experiences, what happened. Not just the facts, but the texture of the facts. Did you make an investment and lose money? Write down the details, not to torture yourself, but to have the case study. What signals did you ignore? What emotion led you to decide? Having that record is worth gold. 5 years from now, when you're about to make a similar mistake, your journal will shout the warning that your memory would have suppressed. B. Emotions, what you felt. The journal is the only place where you can be brutally honest. Write about your fear. Write about your envy. Write about your ambition. By putting the emotion on paper, you take it out of your system. You objectify it. You stop being the emotion and start observing the emotion. This is free therapy. It is mental hygiene. A journal absorbs the poison from your psyche so you don't have to carry it. See ideas, what occurred to you. Ideas are like butterflies. They arrive suddenly, shine for a moment, and if you don't catch them in the net of your notebook, they fly away and disappear forever. Maybe you heard a phrase in a song. Maybe you had a business idea in the shower. Maybe you read something in a book. Capture it. A single idea, noted in a moment of inspiration and revisited years later, can be the seed of a fortune. Your journal is your idea bank. It is your intellectual capital. Your memory is a traitor. Your journal is a loyal ally. If you don't record your life, you lose it. You live the same days 1,000 times and call it a life, but it is only a repetition. The journal breaks the cycle of forgetfulness. But having a notebook and a pen is not enough. You need to know what to do with them. Many people buy an expensive journal on January 1st, write 3 pages with enthusiasm, and by January 15th, the book is gathering dust. Why? Because they don't have a system. They don't understand that the journal is not just a place to vent, it is a place to work. The journal is the craftsman's workbench. It is the scientist's laboratory. It is the general's war room. To master this discipline, you must learn the captain's protocols. 1. The blank page resistance. First, let's face the enemy. Why is it so hard to sit down and write at the end of the day? You are tired. The television calls you. Your mind tells you, I'll do it tomorrow. But there is a deeper reason. The blank page is a mirror. When you sit down to write, you can't hide. If you have had a mediocre day, the paper will show it to you. If you have been lazy, cowardly, or undisciplined, the ink will reveal it. Writing is an act of confrontation with the truth, and the ego hates the truth. The first step of the protocol is the non-negotiable appointment. You must treat your writing time as an appointment with the most important person in the world, yourself. If you don't have 10 minutes to sit down with yourself and review your life, you don't have a life. You have a rat race. The just one sentence rule. If the resistance is strong, use this trick. Promise yourself to write only one sentence. Today I learned that. Today I felt. Once the pen touches the paper, the resistance breaks. The magic of kinetics takes over. Often, that single sentence turns into 3 pages of discovery. But you have to start. 2. Protocol 1. The tactical review, the game film. Professional athletes watch recordings of their games. They rewind. They analyze every play. Why did I miss that pass? Why didn't I see that defender? You must do the same with your day. The journal is your instant replay system. At the end of the day, ask yourself these 3 high-value questions. A. What worked today? Celebrate the victories. Did you close a sale? Did you control yourself in a confrontation? Did you exercise? Write it down. By writing it down, you reinforce the behavior. You tell your brain, this is good, do more of it. You are cementing the success. If you don't acknowledge your small victories, your brain will stop producing them. B. What failed today? Be brutally honest. There is no one to judge you here but yourself. Did you lose your temper with your children? Did you eat something you shouldn't have? Did you procrastinate? Write it down. Not to punish yourself, I'm an idiot, but to diagnose yourself, I was tired and that's why I shouted. When you write the mistake, you objectify it. You take it out of yourself. It is no longer you, it is an event that occurred. And because it is on paper, you can analyze and dissect it so it doesn't happen again. See, what did I learn today? This is the gold nugget. Maybe you learned that you shouldn't have important meetings after lunch because you get sleepy. Maybe you learned that a certain phrase works very well with clients. If you capture that lesson, it is yours forever. If you don't write it down, tomorrow you will make the same mistake. Jim Rohn said, "Don't let the day end until you have finished it." Finishing the day means extracting the juice, the lesson, and the value, and leaving the empty husk, the time spent, behind. There's Protocol 2, the problem-solving workshop, thinking on paper. This is where the journal becomes a $1 million tool. Most people try to solve their problems in their head. Thoughts spin and spin. I have debt. What should I do? But if I do this, that happens. This is not thinking, it is worrying. It is an infinite loop that generates anxiety, not solutions. The captain's rule is, do not try to solve problems in your head. Think on paper. The mind is an idea generator, not a storage facility. If you try to keep all the variables of a problem in your RAM, you will crash. When you have a difficult problem, open your journal and write, "The problem is," and describe it in detail. Get it out of your head and put it on the page. By seeing it written down, the problem shrinks. It loses its nebulous, terrifying power. It becomes concrete, and concrete things can be managed. Then write possible solutions, and force yourself to write at least 5 possible paths. Take out a loan. Sell the car. Work overtime. Renegotiate the debt. Do nothing and see what happens. Even if the solutions seem bad, write them down. By seeing the options in front of you, your logical mind, the cartographer from the previous chapter, can start working. It can compare. It can decide. The anxiety disappears because you have moved from rumination to strategy. There is a special magic between the hand and the brain. Writing unlocks subconscious creativity. Often, solution number 6 will appear out of nowhere while you are writing number 3. The journal is the place where you turn worry into an action plan. For Protocol 3, Designing the Future, the Life Script. Your journal is not just a rear-view mirror, it is a windshield. Most people use their journal to complain about the past. The craftsman uses it to design the future. Dedicate a section of your journal to goals. Jim Rohn was a fanatic of lists. Make a list of what you want, not what you think you can achieve, but what you want. Write down your financial goals, your health goals, the places you want to go, the people you want to meet. But don't do it once a year. Do it often. Rewrite your goals, play with them, refine them. By writing your goals, you are sending a purchase order to the universe. You are telling your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that filters reality. This is important. Search for this. The Future Remembered exercise. This is an advanced technique. Write an entry in your journal dated 5 years in the future. Write as if it has already happened. Today is 2030. I am sitting on my terrace looking at the sea. I feel incredibly grateful for the health I have. My business has grown so much that describe your ideal life in the past tense as if it were already a historical fact. This exercise tricks your brain into believing it is possible. It generates the emotion of realization. And that emotion is the fuel for action. You are writing the script of your own movie before filming it. Now let's turn to the deepest spiritual reason for keeping a journal. Let's talk about death. One day you will not be here. Your body will go, your money will be distributed and spent, your house will be sold or remodeled. What will remain of you? A gravestone, some digital photos on a forgotten server. Jim Rohn posed this question. What value are you going to leave the next generations? If your grandchildren could find a treasure chest of yours, what would you prefer them to find, $1 million or your journals? The money they would spend. But your journals contain your soul. They contain your struggles, how you felt when you lost your job and how you got back up, how you met the love of your life, how scared you were starting your business and how you overcame it, your philosophies, your prayers, your secret victories. That is the real treasure. Imagine you could read your great-grandfather's journal. Imagine you could read his most intimate thoughts, his advice for you, written 100 years ago. How much would that be worth to you? It would be incalculable. You have the opportunity to be that ancestor for someone else. Keeping a journal is an act of love toward the future. It is saying, my life matters. What I have learned matters. I will not let this wisdom die with me. It is your immortality. It is the only way to transfer your essence across time. Our final tactical tip, very much in Jim Rohn's style. Do not write your life on napkins or in cheap notebooks. Buy a good journal, spend money on it. Buy one with hard covers, with quality paper. Buy a good pen. Why? Because the tool dictates the attitude. If you write on dirty paper with a chewed pencil, your subconscious thinks, this is garbage, this doesn't matter. If you write in a leather-bound book with a heavy pen, your subconscious thinks, this is important, this is a historical document, this is worthwhile. The respect you give your journal is the respect you give your own life. If your life is worthwhile, it deserves to be recorded in a dignified place. Treat your journal as if it were a sacred text, because it is. It is the book of your life. There will be days when you don't feel like it. There will be days when you think, nothing interesting happened today. Those are the most important days. Write, today I feel empty. I have nothing to say, I feel stuck. Writing about the void is valuable. Writing about boredom is valuable, because life is also that. And often, by writing about nothing, you discover that underneath that layer of boredom was an idea gestating, or a repressed emotion. Constancy creates flow. If you only write when you are inspired, you are an amateur. If you write every day, come rain or shine, you are a professional. You are the captain. And the captain always fills the logbook, whether there is a storm or dead calm. The Journal Protocol Summary. Buy a good notebook. Make it an investment. Dedicate 10 minutes at the end of the day. Non-negotiable appointment. Review the day. What worked? What failed? What did I learn? Think on paper. Solve your problems by writing them down, not by thinking them. Design the future. Write your goals and dreams as if they were already real. Write for posterity. Imagine your grandchildren will read it. Be honest. Be brave. Chapter 7. The Art of Communication, Saying It Well. Imagine you are the most brilliant architect in the world. You have the design for a perfect city in your mind. You have the solution to traffic, housing, and energy problems. But you don't know how to draw, and you don't know how to speak. You cannot explain your vision to the engineers, investors, or builders. What is the value of your genius? Zero. Your vision will die with you, locked in the prison of your skull. This is the tragedy of millions of talented, honest, and hard-working people. They have immense value, but they lack the tool to deliver it. The seventh discipline of the Code of Simplicity is the art of communication. Jim Rohn was clear. You can have the best ideas in the world, but if you can't communicate them, your ideas have no value. Success is, ultimately, a game of transmission. Money flows to those who know how to persuade. Love flows to those who know how to express. Leadership belongs to those who know how to articulate a vision. It's not about having the gift of gab. It's about working on the skill of transporting what you have in your head and heart into the mind and heart of another person. You must see communication not as chat, but as transportation of goods. You have valuable cargo, your idea, your product, your affection. The other person is the destination. Your language is the truck. If the truck is old, noisy, and has flat tires, poor vocabulary, bad diction, shyness, the cargo doesn't arrive, or it arrives damaged. People who are poor at communication say, "People don't understand me." That is an excuse. It is your responsibility to make yourself understood. If the client doesn't buy, it's not because they are stupid. It's because you didn't know how to communicate the value. If your partner doesn't feel loved, it's not because you don't love them. It's because your transmission is failing. The market does not pay for what you know. It pays for what you can communicate that you know. You can be the best doctor in the world, but if you don't know how to communicate with the patient so they trust you and follow the treatment, you won't cure anyone. Communication is the multiplier of your talent. The art of communication is divided into 4 logical steps. The first is the most forgotten. Before opening your mouth, you must have something to say. It sounds obvious, but the world is full of people who talk a lot and say nothing. They have the truck, the mouth moving, but the truck is empty. Jim Rohn said, "You cannot speak of what you do not know. You cannot share what you do not feel. You cannot give what you do not have." This is where the discipline of communication connects with the previous chapters. To speak well, you first have to live well. You have to have read, chapter 4. You have to have observed, chapter 5. You have to have reflected, chapter 6. If you want to be a great communicator, first be a great student. Fill the tank. If your mind is a desert, your words will be dust. If your mind is a spring, your words will be fresh water. Preparation is the key. Are you going to a job interview? What do you have to say? Have you prepared? Are you going to have a difficult conversation with your child? Have you thought about what you want to achieve? Have you prepared your heart? Don't rely on improvisation if you seek excellence. Improvisation is for amateurs. Professionals prepare. Winston Churchill, one of history's great orators, spent an hour preparing for every minute of his speeches. If you want your word to carry weight, charge it with substance first. Once you have the substance, the idea, you need the packaging. You need to say it well. This is where technique and vocabulary come in. The language toolkit. Words are tools. If you have a vocabulary of 500 words, you have a very small toolkit. You only have a hammer and a screwdriver. You try to describe a complex emotion, existential frustration, and you only have the word bad. You say, I feel bad. Your tool is not precise. The other person doesn't understand you. The connection fails. If you expand your vocabulary, you acquire precision tools. You acquire scalpels, laser levels, wrenches. You can say, I feel melancholic. I feel overwhelmed. I feel underestimated. Now the other person understands. Now you can build solid bridges. The logic of brevity. Saying it well also means saying it briefly. Insecure people talk a lot. They beat around the bush. They tire others out. Wise people talk little. They get straight to the point. Jesus, Socrates, Lincoln. They used short words, direct phrases. The Lord is my shepherd. Know thyself. There is no fat in those phrases, only muscle. Practice the economy of language. Before speaking, ask yourself, how can I say this in half the time? Respect for the other person's time is the foundation of good communication. Sincerity versus technique. Here is an eternal debate. What is more important, what you feel or how you say it? Rohn's answer is both. But sincerity is the foundation. If you have technique but lack sincerity, you are a manipulator, a snake oil salesman. People will eventually find you out because a lack of truth has a hollow sound. If you have sincerity but lack technique, you are an ineffective good guy. You are boring. People fall asleep while you try to save their life. You need the truth, substance, and the skill, form. Work on your voice, work on your pauses, work on your body language, but never use technique to hide a void. Use technique to reveal the truth. For communication to become communion, for what is in my mind to pass into your mind and take root, we need the third pillar. We need the nuclear fuel of persuasion. We need intensity. Jim Rohn had a formula for this. Words charged with emotion have a hypnotic effect. Words alone are just containers. They are glasses. You can hand me an empty glass, and I will see the glass. I will say, what a nice glass. But my thirst won't be quenched. For communication to nourish, you must fill the glass of your words with the liquid of your feelings. What is intensity? It is not volume. Many people confuse intensity with shouting. They believe that to persuade, they have to raise their voice, wave their arms, and dominate the acoustic space. That is not intensity. That is hysteria. That is noise. Often, it is a sign of insecurity. The dog that barks the loudest is the one that is most afraid. True intensity is conviction. It is the absolute belief in what you are saying. It is when your words, your eyes, your hands, and your soul are saying the same thing at the same time. There are no cracks. There is no doubt. When you speak from conviction, you can whisper, and people will lean in to listen because they feel the weight of your truth. The law of blood in the words. There is an old saying, if you would have me weep, you must first weep yourself. If you want me to be moved by your product, you have to be moved. If you want me to believe in your vision, you have to believe so much that your voice trembles, not from fear, but from contained passion. We call this bleeding into the words. You have to put a piece of your life into what you say. If you speak like an instruction manual, people will file you away. If you speak like a human being who has lived, suffered, and conquered, people will follow you. Don't be afraid to show your humanity. Don't be afraid to show that you care. Indifference is the death of communication. Corporate or academic coldness is a shield for cowards who do not dare to be seen. The leader dares to feel in public. Even with preparation, technique, and intensity, you can fail if you forget the fourth pillar. Identification. You can be a passionate genius, but if the other person feels you are an alien or that you think you are superior, they will close their ears. Arrogance builds walls. Identification builds bridges. The goal of communication is not to impress. It is to connect. If you try to impress people with your complex vocabulary and your degrees, they may think you are smart, but they won't trust you. Jim Rohn said, "If you want to influence someone, you have to go to where that person is, take them by the hand and lead them to where you are. You cannot shout at them from the top of your mountain, 'Hey, climb up here, you lazy people.' You have to go down to the valley, find them in their confusion, and say to them, 'I was here too. I know the way out. Come with me.'" The magic phrase, "I am like you." The most powerful tool for identification is strategic vulnerability. It is saying, "I was scared too. I went bankrupt too. I doubted too." When you admit your humanity, the other person lowers their guard. The ego relaxes. The channel opens. Perfection is not attractive. It is intimidating. Overcoming challenges is attractive. Don't just tell your victories, tell your scars. Scars are proof that you survived, and that gives hope to the one who is still bleeding. Now let's flip the coin. So far, we have talked about emitting, but communication is a circuit. If you only emit, you are not a communicator, you are a broken radio. The most important, difficult, and profitable half of communication is listening. Most people don't listen. They just wait their turn to speak. While you are talking, they are rehearsing their response in their head. Their eyes are glazed over. They are not with you. They are in their own ego. That is an insult. Not listening is telling the other person, "You don't matter. Your data is irrelevant. I am the center of the universe." Aggressive listening. The craftsman of life practices what I call aggressive listening. It is not passive. It's not just letting the sound come in. It is an act of hunting. You are listening for clues. You are listening to what they say, and more importantly, what they don't say. You are reading their body language. You are feeling their emotion. You are trying to understand their world map. Why is listening so valuable? It's the greatest compliment. When you listen to someone with total attention, without looking at your phone, without interrupting, you are giving them the rarest gift in the modern world, your presence. You make them feel valuable, and people love those who make them feel valuable. It is strategic intelligence. You cannot help someone if you don't know what hurts them. You cannot sell to a client if you don't know what they need. You cannot lead a team if you don't know what motivates them. Information is power. When you speak, you are giving away information. When you listen, you are collecting information. The wise person listens twice as much as they speak. That's why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Respect the anatomy, the golden pause. Here is a tactical trick from great conversationalists. When the other person finishes speaking, don't answer immediately. Wait 2 seconds, pause, look at them. That pause achieves 2 things. First, it tells the other person, "I am digesting what you said, it was important." Second, often, the other person will fill that silence with more information, often the most profound and honest information they dared not say at first. Silence is a tool for extracting truth. Use it. Why do we do all this? Why read, write, prepare, feel, and listen? To be popular? No. The ultimate goal of communication is influence. Influence is the capacity to move a human being from point A to point B through the power of your word and your example. It is the capacity to make someone see what they did not see, to make them believe in themselves when they had lost faith, to make them take action when they were paralyzed, to make them buy a solution that will improve their life. Influence is the superpower of success. A father influences his children to be good people. A leader influences his team to achieve impossible goals. A salesperson influences the client to make a decision. But beware. Influence is neutral. A tyrant influences to destroy. A leader influences to build. This is where your character, chapter 3, comes in. If you have worked on yourself, your influence will be a blessing. If you haven't worked on yourself, your influence will be manipulation. Manipulation is getting someone to do something for your benefit. Influence is getting someone to do something for their benefit and mutual benefit. Make sure you are on the right side of that line. A final note on saying it well. Don't be afraid to be eloquent. Don't be afraid to be poetic. We live in an era of vulgar language, emojis, abbreviations, and grunts. Language is degrading. Be a guardian of language. Learn to use metaphors. Don't say it's difficult. Say, It's a mountain we have to climb, but the view from the summit will be worth it. Metaphor gives the brain an image to latch onto. Use humor. Humor is the lubricant of communication. If you can make someone laugh, you have lowered their defenses. You have opened the door. But use humor that elevates, not that denigrates. Don't use cheap sarcasm. Use wit. Use silence. As in music, what gives rhythm and meaning to the notes are the silences between them. Don't talk non-stop. Speak, and then leave space for the idea to land. Let people think. You have a voice. It is unique. No one in the history of the universe has had your timbre, your experience, or your perspective. If you keep silent, if you hide, if you let fear muzzle you, you are depriving the world of your contribution. There is someone out there who needs to hear exactly what you have to say, said exactly how you would say it. Perhaps it is a client, perhaps it is your child, perhaps it is a stranger on a bus. If you have prepared, chapter 4, if you have observed, chapter 5, if you have reflected, chapter 6, then you have a moral duty to speak. Don't hoard the medicine when you are surrounded by the sick. Don't hoard the map when you are surrounded by the lost. Share what you know, share what you feel. Jim Rohn said, "Words work wonders. They can build a nation or destroy it. They can heal a broken heart or break it." Take your power seriously. Refine your art. Practice in front of the mirror. Record yourself. Listen to yourself. Improve. Because the day you learn to communicate your value with clarity, passion, and authenticity, the world will stop ignoring you and start listening. And when the world listens, the world pays. Chapter 8. The Discipline of Weight, the Pain of Change. The 8th discipline of the Code of Simplicity is the radical acceptance of the weight of life. Life is not light. Life has weight. And the fundamental law of human existence is this: you cannot escape the weight. You can only choose what kind of weight you are going to carry. This is perhaps Jim Rohn's most famous and profound teaching. It is a mathematical equation that governs your happiness. Listen closely. We must all suffer one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is that discipline weighs ounces, while regret weighs tons. Let's analyze the scale. Life is going to charge you. There is no free ride. On the left side of the scale, the pain of discipline, ounces. This is the pain of the now. It is the discomfort of turning off the television to read. It is the annoyance of saying no to that impulse purchase to save money. It is the effort of going for a run when it's cold. It is the bitter pill of apologizing when you are wrong. This pain is acute, but it is light. It weighs ounces. It lasts a moment. And most importantly, it generates a return. You pay ounces of effort and receive pounds of reward. You pay the price of discipline and buy freedom, health, and wealth. On the right side of the scale, the pain of regret, tons. This is the pain of the later. It is the pain that arrives when you didn't pay the ounces. It is reaching age 60 and realizing you have no savings and will have to work until you die. It is looking at your sick body and knowing you could have prevented it. It is seeing your children disrespect you because you never had the discipline to be present. This pain does not weigh ounces. It weighs tons. And the tragedy is that it doesn't leave. You can't take it off. It goes to bed with you. It accompanies you in old age. Regret is the ghost of what you could have been. The question you must ask yourself every morning is not, how can I avoid pain today? That is impossible. The question is, which pain do I choose? The light pain of growth or the crushing pain of remorse? Why, if the choice is so obvious, do most people choose the tons of regret? Because regret has a grace period. Discipline charges you today. Regret sends you the bill 10 years from now, and the human being is terrible at calculating the future. The easy thing is deceiving. It's easy to eat the pizza. It's easy not to read. It's easy not to make the sales call. It's easy to turn on the television. All of that is easy. It doesn't hurt in today. But every easy act is a stone you add to the ton-heavy backpack you will have to carry tomorrow. Discipline is the capacity to bring the future into the present. It is looking at the pizza and not seeing the pleasure of 5 minutes, but seeing the clogged artery 10 years from now. It is looking at the book and not seeing the boredom of an hour, but seeing the wisdom that will make you wealthy in 5 years. The craftsman of life is not seduced by what is easy. He knows that what is easy to do is also easy not to do. And that small difference, repeated over time, is what creates the chasm between success and failure. Many people think discipline is a punishment. They believe it is for soldiers or monks. They are wrong. Discipline is the highest act of self-love. If you love your future self, you discipline yourself today. If you discipline yourself to save, you are giving freedom to your 60-year-old self. If you discipline yourself to eat well, you are giving vitality to your tomorrow self. Jim Rohn defined discipline beautifully. Discipline is the constant awareness of the need for an action and a conscious act to perform it. It is not a robot following orders. It is an awakened consciousness. It is realizing, if I don't do this, my life will get worse. If I do this, my life will get better. Therefore, I choose to do it. It is a rational choice, not torture. The heaviest part of discipline is the start. Physics teaches us that more energy is required to put an object in motion than to keep it in motion. The rocket spends 80% of its fuel just on liftoff. The hardest part of going to the gym is not lifting the weights. It is putting on the shoes. The hardest part of writing a book is not writing chapter 10. It is writing the first sentence. You must know this. Resistance is maximum at the beginning. Do not wait to feel like it. You will never feel like doing the difficult thing. Discipline is doing it without wanting to until the movement generates its own energy. Once you start, once you take the first step, the ounce of pain disappears and is replaced by something better, satisfaction. But you have to be willing to push the rock those first few inches. Here is where most people go wrong in execution. They understand the theory, feel the fear of regret, and decide to change. On January 1st or a Monday morning, they get up and say, I'm going to change my entire life. They try to start going to the gym 2 hours a day, reading a book a week, quitting sugar, saving 20% of their salary, and being kind to everyone, all at the same time. What happens? By Wednesday they are exhausted, by Friday they have given up, and by Sunday they feel worse than before because now they have new proof that they cannot change. The error was not the intention, it was the loading strategy. They tried to lift 100 pounds on the first day when their discipline muscles could barely lift 5. Discipline is not a switch that is turned on. It is a muscle that is built. Jim Rohn had a simple rule for starting the path to fortune. Do what you can do. Don't try to do what you can't do yet. Do what is within your reach today. If you can't read a book, read 1 page. If you can't run a marathon, walk around the block. If you can't save $1,000, save 1. Why is this so important? Because the initial goal of discipline is not the external result, money, the body. The initial goal is internal confidence. When you tell yourself, I'm going to walk for 10 minutes, and you do it, you have closed a circle. You have made a promise and kept it. Your brain registers a victory. It releases dopamine. Your self-image changes slightly. You stop being someone who postpones and become someone who delivers. This is the military secret of why the first thing they teach you is to make your bed. Making your bed doesn't change the world, but it changes your mind. It tells you, I have completed the first task of the day. I am disciplined. That small victory gives you the fuel, the pride for the next task, or the law of accumulation. One discipline leads to another. If you start walking, physical discipline, suddenly you feel like eating a little better, nutritional discipline. If you eat better, you feel more energetic and decide to tidy your desk, environmental discipline. If you tidy your desk, you feel clearer and decide to read a book, mental discipline. It is a domino effect. Do not despise the small things. The small things are the hinges on which the big doors swing. If you can't discipline yourself to wash the dishes after dinner, how do you expect to discipline yourself to run $1 million company? The universe will not entrust you with the big things until you demonstrate mastery in the small things. Here is a profound truth we often ignore. Every discipline affects all other disciplines, and every negligence affects all other negligences. You cannot compartmentalize your life. You cannot say, I'm going to be very disciplined at work, but I'm going to be a mess with my health. Eventually, your poor health will affect your work. Your lack of energy will make you make mistakes. Your lack of physical self-respect will filter into your leadership. Jim Rohn said, every disciplined effort has a multiple reward. But the inverse is also true. Every error in discipline is the beginning of delusion. If you are negligent with your money, that anxiety will seep into your marriage. If you are negligent with your punctuality, that disrespect will affect your reputation. Everything is connected. Your character is a single piece. The negligence infection. The danger of a lack of discipline is not just that you don't get the result. It's that negligence is an infection that spreads. You start by not reading, then you stop listening, then you stop thinking. You start by leaving shoes lying around, then you leave clothes, then you leave the car dirty. Then you leave your finances unchecked. The drift is silent. No one goes broke on purpose. They go broke through drift. They go broke because they allowed a small negligence to become a major habit. The craftsman of life is always vigilant. He knows that if he allows a crack in the hull, the water will come in and sink the entire ship. Discipline is the constant maintenance of your life's integrity. This is the #1 obstacle for most people. I don't feel like it. They believe that to act they need to be motivated. They wait for the muse to arrive. They wait to feel energized. And since most days they don't feel that way, they do nothing. Listen carefully to this. Motivation is unreliable. Motivation is an emotion. And emotions are like the weather. They change. One day is sunny, another is rainy. If your success depends on your emotional weather, you are lost. Discipline is what you do when you don't feel like it. That is the definition. Anyone can work when they are motivated. That has no merit. The merit, the growth, and the fortune are reserved for those who work when they don't want to. The secret of the engine. Here is the irony. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Don't wait to feel good to act. Act, and you will feel good. It is a physiological law. If you don't feel like writing, sit down and write a sentence. The act of writing will start the engine of your creativity. If you don't feel like exercising, put on your shoes and walk. The movement will generate the energy. The body wants to rest, law of inertia. The will wants to move. You have to drag the body for the first 5 minutes. After that, the body wakes up and thanks you. Never negotiate with your laziness. If you start debating with yourself, should I go today or tomorrow, you have already lost. Discipline does not debate. Discipline executes. Why do we do all this? Just to have money and health? No. The greatest prize of discipline is not what you get. It is what you become. And the core of that transformation is self-esteem. Many people look for self-esteem in books, therapy, and affirmations. They look in the mirror and say, I love myself, I love myself. But if after saying I love myself, they spend the day eating garbage, wasting time, and breaking their promises, their brain knows it is a lie. You cannot have self-esteem if you do not have self-discipline. It is impossible. Self-esteem is born from the observation of your own actions. When you see yourself doing the difficult thing, you respect yourself. When you see yourself keeping your word, you trust yourself. When you go to bed at night knowing you gave everything you had, you love yourself. Jim Rohn said, "The greatest source of unhappiness is self-deception. Knowing you should do something and not doing it erodes your soul. It makes you feel small, guilty, weak." Conversely, the act of discipline is the act of building self-respect brick by brick. There is no better feeling in the world than the feeling of competence and control over your own life. That is true success. The money is just a side effect of that internal greatness. How do we implement this today? You don't need a perfect plan, you need a possible plan. Step 1. Identify the main negligence. Look at your life. Where are you failing the most? Where is the pain of regret costing you the most? Is it in your health, your finances, your education? Choose one area. Don't try to fix everything today. Step 2. Define the simple new discipline. What simple, small daily action could reverse that negligence? If it's health, maybe it's walking 30 minutes. If it's money, maybe it's writing down every expense. If it's education, maybe it's reading 15 pages. It has to be something you can do every day. Step 3. The 30-day commitment. Commit to doing it for 30 days without fail. Make a calendar. Cross off the days. Do not break the chain. If you fail one day, don't punish yourself, but return immediately the next day. 2 days of failure is the start of a new negative habit. Step 4. The celebration of victory. At the end of each day, take a moment, in your Captain's Log, Chapter 6, to acknowledge your victory. I did it today. Despite being tired, I did it. That acknowledgement is the food of your self-esteem. Let's conclude with a redefinition. People think discipline is the loss of freedom. I have to follow rules, I can't do what I want. The truth is exactly the opposite. Discipline is the only door to freedom. If you lack financial discipline, you are not free. You are a slave to your debts and your boss. If you lack health discipline, you are not free. You are a slave to illness and fatigue. If you lack emotional discipline, you are not free. You are a slave to your reactions and the environment. Only the disciplined person is free. Free to travel because they have money. Free to move because they have health. Free to choose because they have options. Free to create because they have the skills. Indiscipline seems like freedom at first, eating what you want, not working, but it ends in a small, painful prison. Discipline seems like a prison at first, rules, effort, but it ends in a palace of unlimited options. Chapter 9. The Seasons of Life, Managing Cycles. Imagine a farmer going out into his field in the middle of January, with snow covering the ground, and starting to yell at the soil, "Grow! I've worked hard. I want my harvest now." You would think he was crazy. You know that no matter how much he yells, how hard he works, or how good a person he is, the harvest will not come in January. The earth has a rhythm. Nature has laws. Yet millions of people live their lives yelling at their own winter. They get depressed when they have a bad streak. They get frustrated when their business doesn't boom in the first month. They panic when they grow old. They live in a constant struggle against time. The 9th discipline of the Code of Simplicity is seasonal wisdom. Jim Rohn taught us that life, just like nature, moves in 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, and autumn. You cannot change the seasons. You cannot stop winter. You cannot speed up spring. But you can change yourself. The key to success and peace of mind is not fighting the season you are in, but learning how to behave in each one. Let's start with the most feared season. Winter comes for everyone. It's the economic winter. A recession, a job loss, a crushing debt. It's the physical winter, an illness, pain, old age. It's the personal winter, loneliness, divorce, sadness. Winter is cold, hard, and dark. Most people enter winter and give up. They say, it's the end. They become bitter. They ask themselves, why me? The philosophy of winter. The craftsman of life knows that winter is not the end. It is the beginning. Winter has 2 purposes, to cleanse and to strengthen. The cold kills pests. The darkness forces you to look inward. It is the time to read. It is the time to plan. It is the time to gather strength. Jim Rohn said, "Don't wish it was summer when it's winter. Wish to be stronger. In winter, your job is not to harvest. Your job is to survive and prepare. If you are going through a difficult time right now, don't try to force happiness. Accept it. Bundle up. Guard your inner fire. Read more books. Reflect. Winter is the moment where character is forged. It is where you decide whether you are a victim or a survivor. And remember the eternal promise of God and nature. Winter never lasts forever. Spring always follows. After the darkness, the sun inevitably warms the earth. Opportunity arrives. Spring is the time for massive action. It is when you are offered the job. It is when you have the business idea. It is when you meet someone special. It is when you feel energetic. But beware, spring is brief. Lazy people see spring arrive and say, what a nice day, I'm going to have a picnic. The craftsman sees spring arrive and says, it's time to plant. If you spend spring enjoying the weather instead of sowing the seeds, you will be hungry in the fall. The urgency of spring. You can't say, I'll sow later. If you sow late, the autumn frost will kill your crop. You have to sow now. Spring requires you to get up early and work late. It is the time to seize the advantage. If an investment opportunity arrives, study it and act. If a burst of inspiration arrives, write the book. If love arrives, open yourself to it. Don't let spring pass without putting your seed in the ground. The pain of watching a spring wasted is one of the heaviest regrets that exists. Spring does not guarantee success. It only gives you the opportunity. The rest depends on your work. For the life tourist, summer is the beach and relaxation. For the craftsman of life, summer is war. It is the longest, hardest, and most dangerous season. It is the time between sowing and harvesting, and it is the time where most crops are lost, not due to lack of sun, but due to lack of vigilance. As soon as you plant a beautiful garden, do you know what happens? Weeds appear, insects appear, drought appears. This is a universal law that Jim Rohn taught with insistence. Every good thing will be attacked. It's not personal. It's not that the universe hates you, it's biology. Weeds do not hate your flowers. They simply compete for the same space, water, and sun. And weeds have an evolutionary advantage. They are stronger, grow faster, and don't need you to care for them. If you plant a virtue, vice will try to drown it. If you start an honest business, unfair competition or discouragement will try to eat it up. If you start a healthy relationship, doubts and jealousy, the mental weeds, will try to choke it. The dual function of summer. In this season, you have two full-time jobs. One, nurturing. You have to water what you planted. You have to give love, time, money, and energy to your projects. The scorching sun of summer, the harsh reality, will dry out your enthusiasm if you don't constantly water it with motivation and discipline. 2, defending. You have to kill the weeds. The Guardian's philosophy. Here is where many positive thinkers fail. They believe that if they ignore the weeds, they will disappear. They believe that love conquers all and that they don't need to defend themselves. Jim Rohn was brutally clear. If you don't hate the weed, you don't love the flower. You cannot love your garden and let the insects eat it. That is not love, that is negligence. You have to develop the capacity to be intolerant of what threatens your future. If you have a friend who always discourages you, he is a weed in your mental garden. You have to prune that relationship. If you have a spending habit that threatens your savings, it is a pest. You have to eradicate it. If you have thoughts of doubt, they are insects. You have to crush them. Summer is the time for vigilance. The gardener does not sit around watching the grass grow. He is there with a hoe in hand, sweating, pulling out what is useless, protecting what is valuable. It is dirty work. It is tiring work. But it is the only path to autumn. The illusion of ease. Summer is deceptive because the weather is good. It is easy to get distracted. It is easy to go to a party when you should be studying. It is easy to spend money when the business starts doing well. But summer is a test of character. Can you maintain discipline when everyone else is playing? Can you say no to distraction to protect your future harvest? Remember, weeds grow while you sleep. Negativity grows while you are distracted. Illness advances while you ignore your diet. Evil does not need your help to grow. Good does. Summer is the time to show the universe that you care about your harvest enough to fight for it. Finally, after the preparation of winter, the action of spring and the struggle of summer, the moment of truth arrives. The air turns cool, the days shorten, autumn arrives. Autumn is the season of the harvest, and the harvest is a mathematical law. You reap what you sow. For some, autumn is the most beautiful season of life. It is the time of abundance. Barns are full, investments have matured, health is robust, relationships are deep. It is the time to celebrate, to share, and to enjoy. It is the reward for the discipline of the 3 previous seasons. For others, autumn is a nightmare. It is the time of scarcity, of regret, of looking at the empty field or one full of thorns. It is reaching age 60 with no money. It is reaching maturity alone. It is facing a sick old age. The law of radical responsibility. The hardest lesson of autumn is this. The result does not lie. You can deceive yourself in spring, I have time. You can lie in summer, the weeds aren't so bad. But in autumn, the truth is in the barn. Either there is wheat or there is no wheat. Your bank account does not lie, your scale does not lie, your loneliness does not lie. Jim Rohn taught us to embrace radical responsibility. When autumn arrives and your harvest is poor, the human tendency is to blame. The summer was too hot. The seeds were bad. The government robbed me. My parents didn't teach me. But the craftsman of life looks in the mirror and says, "This is my harvest, I am responsible." If you don't like your harvest, don't curse the soil, don't yell at the sky, accept the truth. I didn't plant enough, or I didn't protect my garden enough. The dignity of acceptance. There is immense dignity in accepting your own harvest, good or bad. If it is bad, Accept it without bitterness. Bitterness is a poison that ruins the coming winter. If you accept responsibility, I created this, then you keep the power. Because if you created the disaster, you can create the success in the next season. If you blame others, you are a victim forever. The law of multiplication. Autumn also teaches us the generosity of the universe. The law says, you sow one seed, you reap a tree. You don't reap what you sowed, you reap much more than you sowed. This is the magic of compound interest. If you sow a little discipline, you reap a mountain of success. If you sow a little negligence, you reap a storm of disasters. Life magnifies your actions. A small negative habit, smoking, overspending in spring, turns into a massive tragedy in autumn. A small positive habit, reading, saving in spring, turns into a fortune in autumn. Autumn reveals the truth of your small daily decisions. Now let's put the pieces together. Life is not a single year. It is a succession of cycles. You can be in winter financially, bankruptcy, but in spring in your health, starting a diet, and in summer with your family, raising your children. The seasons overlap. The secret to happiness is not living in an eternal summer. That's impossible. The secret is learning to love the season you are in. Love winter. Use it to rest, read, and strengthen yourself. Don't be afraid of the darkness. Use it to see the stars of your future. Love spring. Use it to act, to take risks, to get your hands dirty with the soil of opportunity. Love summer. Use it to protect, to fight for what is yours, to watch your work grow. Love autumn. Use it to enjoy, to give thanks, and to learn the lesson of the results. Don't get stuck. The biggest mistake is to remain mentally in a season that has already passed. There are people who are 50, autumn, but are still acting as if they were 20, spring, spending and living without thinking about the future. That is tragic. There are people who are in spring, youth and opportunity, but act with the cynicism and bitterness of winter. That is a waste. The craftsman of life looks at his watch, looks at his calendar and asks, what time is it in my life? What does this season require of me? And then he acts accordingly. I want to leave you with the final hope of seasonal philosophy. No matter how bad your harvest is this autumn, no matter how hard your current winter is, no matter how many times you have failed in the past, the earth keeps spinning. Spring always returns. You will always have another chance to plant. There will always be another seed. God or the universe is infinitely merciful because He gives us cycles. If you ruined last year, this year is virgin soil. You can use everything you learned from your mistakes in your journal to make the next planting perfect. Your past is not your future. Your past is your school. Your future is your potential harvest. Do not let winter enter your heart. Keep summer in your mind while you walk through the snow. Prepare your tools, sharpen your plow, because the sun will come out tomorrow, and when it does, you will be ready to plant the best harvest of your life. Chapter 10, The Good Life, Sophistication. The ultimate goal of life is not to have a bank account with many zeros. Money is just paper or digits. You cannot eat money. You cannot keep warm with money. Money is only a means to an end. And the end is lifestyle. Jim Rohn had a devastating quote for those who obsess only over accumulating. If you are not happy with what you have, you will not be happy with what you get. Happiness is not a quantity, it is a study. Lifestyle is not an automatic reward for being rich. It is a deliberate practice that you must cultivate now, whether you have $1 or $1 million. 1. The definition of sophistication. It's not the price, it's the awareness. Society confuses sophistication with spending a lot of money. They believe the good life is buying the most expensive car, the largest watch, and the most luxurious house. That is not sophistication. That is consumption. Any fool with money can buy expensive things. It requires a person of culture to appreciate them. True sophistication is the capacity to extract the maximum enjoyment from what you have available. A rich, vulgar man can drink a $500 bottle of wine in 10 minutes and not notice the difference from vinegar. He has spent a lot, but he has lived little. A craftsman of life can take a $2 a cup of coffee, sit on a terrace, feel the sun on his face, enjoy the aroma, observe the people, and have a millionaire experience for the price of loose change. Lifestyle is a matter of attention, not budget. It is the difference between eating and dining. It is the difference between hearing and listening. It is the difference between existing and living. If you don't learn to enjoy a walk in the park free, you won't enjoy a trip to Paris expensive. You will take your same bored and distracted mind to the Eiffel Tower. Money only amplifies what you already are. If you are a bored poor person, you will be a bored rich person. If you are a bitter poor person, you will be a bitter rich person. But if you are a person who knows how to find beauty and joy in the simple things, money will give you tools to amplify that joy to stratospheric levels. 2. The culture of excellence in the small things. The good life begins with the rejection of vulgarity and the adoption of excellence in the details. Don't wait to be rich to live with class. Buy a single good book instead of 10 cheap magazines. Buy a single quality shirt that makes you feel powerful instead of 3 cheap shirts that deform after the second wash. Eat 1 exquisite dinner a month instead of fast food every day. Jim Rohn taught us, you don't need more things, you need better things. Surround yourself with quality. Drink your coffee from a porcelain cup, not styrofoam. Play classical music or jazz while you work, not the noise of the television. Keep your car clean. Keep your shoes shined. These small acts of respect toward your environment and yourself send a powerful signal to your psyche. I am worthy. I appreciate beauty. I deserve quality. And curiously, when you start living with quality in the small things, the market starts offering you quality in the large things. The vibration of excellence attracts excellence. 3. Generosity as a lifestyle, the art of tipping. An essential part of the good life is the relationship with others. The miser can never have style, no matter how much money he has. Stinginess is a disease of the soul that screams fear and scarcity. The craftsman practices strategic generosity, and it starts with something as simple as the tip. Jim Rohn said, become an expert at tipping. Don't tip for the service you received, tip for the person you want to be. If you go to a restaurant and the service is average, poor people leave little. People with style leave a good tip anyway, because their style does not depend on the waiter's clumsiness. And if the service is excellent, the craftsman leaves a tip that makes the waiter smile all day. Why? Not for the waiter, for you. To feel the sensation of abundance, to exercise the muscle of generosity, to tell the universe, I have so much that I can afford to bless others. That feeling of being a blesser, of being someone who leaves people better than he found them, is the pinnacle of the lifestyle. It doesn't cost millions. It costs attitude. It opens doors that money alone cannot open. People want to be near those who make them feel good. Sophistication is not how much you spend, but how much you enjoy. It is a matter of awareness, not budget. We have learned that generosity and excellence in the small things are the foundations of style. But the good life goes beyond having a good coffee or leaving a good tip. It is an integral philosophy. Most people plan their career with obsessive detail, but leave their happiness to chance. They wait for joy to happen on the weekend. The craftsman of life does not wait, he designs. If you want a life worth remembering, you have to learn to sculpt time, cultivate friendship, and educate your senses. We enter the Good Life Manifesto. 1. The design of experience, converting time into memory. Money is a renewable resource. Time is not. The tragedy of modern man is that he spends his time to earn money and then does not know how to use that money to regain the quality of his time. Jim Rohn said, don't let your life just be work. Design the reward. Discipline requires balance. If you work like a beast but eat like an animal and sleep like the dead, you are not successful. You are a battery for the economic system. The good life demands that you become an architect of moments. You don't need to go to Bali to have a memorable moment, although if you can, do it. You can create a memory on a Tuesday night in your kitchen. The ritual protocol. Transform routine into ritual. Dinner. Don't eat in front of the television watching tragic news. That is feeding at a trough. Set the table. Use the good plates. Why save them? For the day you die. Light a candle. Play music. Turn a Tuesday dinner into a celebration that you have food and family. The weekend. Don't let the weekend just happen. Plan it. This Saturday we are going to go to that museum we've never seen. We are going to cook a new recipe. Anticipation is 50% of happiness. If you plan your leisure with the same seriousness with which you plan your work, your life will be filled with color. Memory is the only asset you take with you at the end. When you are old, you won't remember the days you spent at the office checking emails. You will remember the time you got soaked in the rain, laughing with your partner. You will remember the taste of that cheap wine you drank with friends talking philosophy until dawn. Invest in experiences. Things break and get lost. Memories appreciate over time. They are the true wealth of the soul. 2. The education of the senses. Learning to appreciate. To live well, you have to know how to live. Sophistication requires study. If you are served the best dish in the world and your palate is atrophied by junk food, you won't enjoy it. If you are put in front of a work of art and you know nothing about history or color, you will only see smudges. Jim Rohn challenged us to be students of beauty. You have to educate your senses so they can extract pleasure from the fine things. And fine things don't necessarily mean expensive things. They mean things done with mastery. Learn about music. Don't just listen to what's popular. Listen to jazz, listen to classical, listen to folk music. Learn to distinguish a cello from a violin. The more you understand music, the deeper it will touch your soul. Learn about food. Learn which spices combine. Learn to cook an excellent dish. Culinary culture is a form of self-love. Learn about nature. Learn the names of the trees and birds in your area. When you walk through a forest and know what you are seeing, the walk stops being exercise and becomes a conversation with life. The uncultured person gets bored easily because their inner world is small. The cultured person, the one who has cultivated their senses, is never bored because they find nuances and beauty where others only see noise. Appreciation is the value multiplier. If you learn to appreciate, a glass of water can taste like glory. Third, radical presence, be where you are. This is perhaps the most difficult discipline in the digital age, but it is the heart of the good life. Jim Rohn had a golden rule. Wherever you are, be there. It sounds simple, but it is revolutionary. How many times are you at work thinking about the beach? You are suffering. And how many times are you at the beach thinking about work? You are wasting your vacation money and ruining your peace. People live divided. Their body is at the family dinner, but their mind is on email. Their body is at the concert, but their mind is recording the video to impress strangers on the internet instead of listening to the music. That is not living. That is recording existence without experiencing it. Sophistication is the capacity to disconnect. It is the elegance of leaving the phone in the car when you go in for dinner. It is the discipline of looking your conversation partner in the eye and saying without words, "In this moment, you are the only thing that exists in my universe." If you are working, work. Give it 100%. Do not be distracted. But when you are finished, be finished. Turn off the switch. Play with your children. Walk your dog. Read your book. Do not contaminate your living time with your production time. If you manage to master the art of radical presence, you will discover that time expands. An hour of total presence is worth more than a week of half-hearted distraction. The good life is living in high definition, here and now. 4. The circle of friendship, relational wealth. We spoke in Chapter 5 about the law of association for success. Now let's talk about association for happiness. There is no good life in solitude. The hermit may have peace, but they lack the wealth of human connection. An essential ingredient of the sophisticated life is quality friendship. Not business contacts, not networking. I'm talking about soul friends. Those people with whom you can be vulnerable, with whom you can laugh until your stomach hurts, with whom you can share your fears without being judged. Cultivating these friendships requires work. It requires the discipline of gardening. You have to water the plants, you have to call, you have to invite, you have to remember birthdays, you have to be there for funerals and weddings. Jim Rohn said, if you want to have a friend, you have to be a friend first. Invest in your people. Spend money on dinners to bring your friends together. Organize trips, create traditions. Every Friday we get together. Every summer we take this trip. These traditions are the glue of life. They are what will sustain you when winter comes. A poor person with good friends is rich. A lonely millionaire is a beggar with money. 5. The legacy, living for something greater than yourself. Finally, the pinnacle of sophistication is transcendence. A life focused only on my pleasure, my money, my comfort is a small life and, in the long run, a boring one. The true lifestyle includes service. There is nothing more elegant than kindness. There is nothing more sophisticated than helping someone who cannot repay the favor. The craftsman of life understands that he is part of a larger fabric. He knows he has been blessed with health, intelligence, and resources not only for his enjoyment, but to be a channel. Find a cause. Help a young person start their career, mentorship. Donate to an organization you believe in. Offer your time to your community. When you give, you feel powerful. You feel abundant. Scarcity disappears from your mind because you are in the position of the one who offers, not the one who needs. And think about your example. Your children, your employees, your neighbors, they are watching you. What are they learning from you about how to live? Do they see someone stressed, greedy, and bitter? Or do they see someone who works hard, enjoys life intensely, treats people with respect, and faces problems with dignity? Your life is your message. Make sure it is a message of hope and class. 6. Final integration, the wheel of life. We have covered a lot of ground, from adjusting the sail to the sophistication of the soul. Now, as we close this manual, I want you to visualize your life as a wheel with several spokes. The spoke of finances, the spoke of health, the spoke of family, the spoke of intellect, the spoke of spirit, the spoke of lifestyle. If one spoke is very long, you are very rich, and another is very short, you are sick or lonely. The wheel does not turn smoothly. Life is bumpy. The code of simplicity seeks a round wheel. It seeks dynamic balance. Don't seek to be the richest in the cemetery. Seek to be the most complete. Work hard, yes, but when you leave work, live well. Use your money to buy freedom and beauty. Use your health to explore the world. Use your mind to understand the mystery. The Craftsman's Manifesto. To close this chapter, I invite you to adopt this creed, make it yours. Read it when you feel you are losing your way. I am the craftsman of my own existence. I recognize that the wind blows on everyone, but I adjust my sail. I do not ask for it to be easier. I ask to be better. I do not chase success. I become the person who attracts it. I accept the pain of discipline to avoid the pain of regret. I protect my mind from garbage and feed it with wisdom. I surround myself with giants and move away from those who chain me. I capture my lessons on paper and design my future with intention. I speak with truth and listen with attention. And above all, I choose to live well today. I find beauty in the simple, quality in the small, and joy in the journey. My life is my masterpiece, and I sign it with excellence. Conclusion of the book. This is the end of the content, but the beginning of your work. The book closes, but your life opens. Do not be overwhelmed by the 7 disciplines. You do not have to master them all tomorrow. Remember the rule. Do what you can do. Start with 1. Adjust 1 sail today. Read 1 page today. Write 1 line in your journal today. Drink a coffee with presence today. Change is not an explosion. It is a positive erosion. Drop by drop, action by action, you are sculpting a new version of yourself. A version that is stronger, wiser, richer, happier. Jim Rohn used to say, "I wish you a life of wealth, health, and happiness, a life in which you give yourself the gift of patience, the virtue of reason, the value of knowledge, and the influence of faith." We have reached the last page. You have traveled the path of the 7 forgotten disciplines. You have learned that you cannot change the wind, but you can adjust your sail. You have learned the tenacity of the ant, the need to increase your value, the magic of self-education, and the danger of bad company. You have learned to capture your life in a journal, to communicate with intensity, to accept the pain of discipline, and to navigate the seasons of time. And finally, you have learned that the goal is not just to have, but to live with sophistication. You have the code, you have the keys, but I must leave you with one last warning. Knowledge without action is the beginning of disillusionment. Knowing and not doing is worse than not knowing, because now you no longer have the excuse of ignorance. Now, if you fail, it will be by choice. Many people ask, when will my life change? And they wait for the answer to be a date, an event, or a stroke of luck. But the answer is much simpler and more terrifying. Your life will change the day you change. That day can be today. There is a day in the life of every successful person that is called the day that changes everything. It is not the day they won the lottery. It is the day they looked in the mirror and said, "Enough, I've had enough. Enough of being mediocre. Enough of being broke, enough of being afraid, enough of blaming the government." That day of inspired disgust is the beginning of fortune. Today you have a choice. You can close this audiobook and return to your routine, letting these ideas fade like smoke. You can choose the easy path, the path of negligence, and wait for the tons of regret to arrive 10 years from now. Or you can make today day one. You don't need to do it all at once. You just need to start. Read one page, save $1, walk one block, walk away from one toxic person. Do something, no matter how small, that declares to the universe that you have changed course. Life is waiting to see what you do. The market is waiting for your value. Your family is waiting for your example. And your future self is watching you from a distance, begging you to pay the price of discipline today so he can enjoy freedom tomorrow. Do not fail him. Brief pause. The music reaches an emotional, brilliant climax. If this code has resonated with you, if you are ready to leave mediocrity behind, seal your commitment. Subscribe to our channel, Path of Knowledge. Don't do it just for the content. Do it as your first discipline of association with excellence. Like this video as a signal that you accept the challenge. Share this manual with someone who deserves a better life. Thank you for your time, which is your most valuable asset. Now go out there, adjust your sail, and make your life a masterpiece.